Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 86th Lucky Hit Podcast. I'm your host, the Gagaman, and it's the 2nd of September in the year everyone wishes would hurry up and leave. And I'm joined this week by our three lovely contestants. It's the closest thing we have to an uncle from Nintendo. It's Hunk Thunder. Brightly coloured peels, they'll cure all your ills, just as long as you've got fever or the chills. It's CherryT. Don't forget to wash your hands. It's Big Elk. With that, we'll begin the show! Yep. Hello.
Hello.
In case you were wondering, that was pre-recorded because I didn't have the balls to do that live. As I just said already, welcome to the 86th Lucky Hit Podcast, but now without the music and the cheering. I'm the Gagaman.
I'm CherryT.
I'm contestant number 1.
Ding.
And I'm Macho Elk. Oh yeah, I'm here to reveal your prizes for today's episode.
I hope I get a cuddly toy.
And this is why I want to be a voice actor.
Yeah, I hope I get a caravan.
Caravan with a cuddly toy. That's what you really want.
Your top prize today is this Sega Wide TV.
Oh, a Sega one. Wow.
Mm.
Is that one that Sega actually made?
Yes, it is.
That thing. Yeah. I remember that thing. Or seeing it anyway.
And two.
And one.
And three.
Elk's making American references and we're making British references to game shows.
Yeah, my head's all over the place at the moment.
Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yeah.
I miss him.
Or Bonesaw, if you remember the Spider-Man movie.
Oh yeah.
The what's his name? The Tobey Maguire one, the first one.
Oh yeah.
Bonesaw is ready.
Right. So, with that absolute nonsense out of the way, just quick little update about the channel, I guess. Just like I feel like I should start these podcasts really with like what's coming up. So we're gonna have the next Splunky to Hell with It tomorrow, and then on Sunday I'm gonna do To Be This Good Takes Sages 2020 because the Sonic Fan Games Expo 2020 is on from Saturday, and obviously I want to spend Saturday downloading stuff and trying them out and seeing what stuff I want to stream, and then I'll stream the stuff on the Sunday night. This is apparently the 20th Sonic Fan Games Expo. They've been doing this since the year 2000.
That's old.
Damn, I can't believe it's already time for that again.
Yeah.
And that's been going on for that long.
Yeah, I think the first one I joined in on was the second one in 2001. I think I actually had a booth there. Like I actually had like Manga Gaga games or something with like Sonic Chidoku and Sonic Switch demos and stuff like that. Those were the days.
That's cool.
Yeah, those were good times. When I got my first PC and I jumped into Games Factory, all that kind of stuff. As I've shown in the past, if you look up Sonic Chidoku, which is spelled CHUDOOKU or something like that, if you look up that on our channel, you'll find a complete Let's Play of the only Sonic Fan game I ever completed, and it was horrendous.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I did watch that video before.
Ah, nice.
There was interesting stuff. Like like when I watched that, I can tell exactly what age you were when you made it.
Exactly. There's like, Limp Bizkit meadies and stuff like that in it. So
Oh yeah, I remember now.
yeah, good stuff. I was, how old was I then? 13, something like that. 12 or 13. But yeah, that was a long time ago.
Ooh, yeah. Keep on rolling, baby. You know what time it is.
That was so good we might get content ID'd. What else was I going to go to? Yeah, we'll probably do the next podcast on Monday, and then I'll probably have to do the next Splunky next Tuesday because I'll be working Wednesday and Thursday, but I've got Saturday till Tuesday off, so I'm pretty happy with that because it means I can do that Sage thing because, as I say, it starts Saturday and I think it ends the next weekend. But yeah, so that's what we'll be doing for the next week, I guess. Also, I can't guarantee it's going to happen tomorrow or not, but I want to start trying out Restream. I'm actually thinking of trying to start streaming our stuff. Probably not the podcast, but like all our like regular streams. I would like to start doing them on Twitch and YouTube at the same time, just to see how it goes. And yeah, I've been looking into it, and you can even put like a little chat thing on the that pops up on OBS for like, so I can see the chat from both YouTube and Twitch. Because I know quite a lot of other channels, like the Flatpak uses that, and it's quite useful because if someone comments on either of the channels, they see both. So that's really cool. I'll be probably experimenting with that tomorrow. So tomorrow's Splunky stream might be a little bit experimental in that respect. Yeah. So that's the lucky hit update, I suppose. that's what we're doing. I'm basically streaming every day I have off, almost except one. So I hope you all appreciate it because I'm basically, I'm trying to do stuff on this channel as often as I can. But yeah.
Yep. So say it with me now. Stay your ass home and watch Lucky Hit streams
every day.
Yeah, or every day that we do one.
Every
if we're not doing one,
day.
watch some of our old ones over and over if you want. Just get that.
Yeah, especially the couple of streams you forgot to watch.
Yeah, we've got so much content on the channel now, it's actually kind of insane. We must have done, I don't know how many hundreds of hours of stuff this year alone. Like, this is the busiest year we've ever had on the channel. I think as much as the lockdown sucked, it really did like kick my ass into making this channel have some regular content again. Even if it is live streams. I would like to do some edited videos, but live streams is good.
It's a lot easier.
Oh yeah, it's a lot easier. For the most part, it's difficult in different ways. I suppose like there's technical stuff that can be a bit of an issue, but I think I've got most of those kinks out of the way now. And now I'm going to introduce a load more by doing Restream. But yeah, so I guess we shall start with what we've been playing, and I hope you guys don't mind if I start first.
I mind, but I'm going to let you do it anyway.
Ah, thanks. Just to give a little context on that little intro thing. Basically, I have only been playing Taiko no Tatsujin all week, pretty much religiously at this point. I've kind of got addicted to it. That song that was in the intro that sounded like a game show was the song that I unlocked by playing the online mode loads for the August. Basically, they do like a monthly thing for the online on Taiko. This is the Switch version, Drum and Fun. They do like this sort of like unlockable stuff each month, and they've actually started a new one just yesterday actually, where if you play so many songs online, like they basically have a pool of about 8 songs every week, and then they reset it every week. So I think it was like 30 songs I had to play, so it's taken me pretty much the whole month just to unlock this one song. But it's pretty much the only way to get that song because it's not available as DLC. So either way, it's a free song. So, and yeah, as soon as I heard it, I was like, this sounds like some kind of game show thing. So I just for some reason came up with that weird intro. But yeah, that's what that was. Yeah, they've reset the. We're doing like a September one now, and I think the song that unlocks is like a what's that game called? Dragon Spirit Melody, like old Namco game Dragon Spirit. So that's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to working my way through that. I think all the targets are a bit like more lenient this time. You don't have to like play 30 songs. I think it's just like 25 this time, and like most of the other targets where you unlock like little icons and like things that you can say at the start and end of matches are a bit easier this time. I've got it for my character when when I fight someone online, I just say no way, and then when I either win or lose, it still just says no way. It just says, he introduces himself the same way, but yeah, and then you get like these little icons, just like little avatar things that you can unlock over time by playing online. So I've been doing a lot of that. Yeah, and I've also been trying to just full combo as many of the songs on normal and easy as I can. I'm still sort of slowly getting my way through the easiest hard mode songs, like Man and stuff like that. Like all the like anime kids songs that are basically the easiest hard songs. I'm still slowly getting my way through hard mode, but like I don't think I'm quite there yet. I'm still playing the game with touch controls mostly, but I have been playing it on the TV with buttons as well. Oh, I feel like I'm better with touch controls at the moment. I really want to get one of those GameCube adapters now, because I've seen a video of basically you can play the Switch Taiko game with the Donkey Kong bongos.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got some kind of GameCube adapter, it basically works the same way, because Donkey Kong is basically a reskin of Taiko anyway, isn't it? I didn't even realise that back in the day, because I played Donkey Kong long before I played Taiko. But it's essentially the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I was surprised too when I realized that.
I mean, it's by Namco as well.
I'm surprised I never thought to use one of those GameCube adapters to use the DK bongos.
Yeah,
that game.
I mean, like it's not like an obvious thing. It's not like someone Namco didn't advertise it as such, but it just so happens that it treats it. Oh, oh, sorry.
Pardon you?
That tea went down the wrong hole. Yeah,
happens to me all the time.
Sorry, lost my train of thought. And my voice.
You were talking about how most people wouldn't think to have tried the DK bongos with Taiko no Tatsujin on the Switch.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just like you see this video, and it's basically like playing it with the touch controls. You can actually be quite gentle with the bongos as well. And a couple of people on the subreddit for Taiko were actually saying it's somewhat more accurate than using the actual drum kit, which I was quite surprised to hear, because some people I think some people have actually had to open up and modify the drum to make it a bit easier to register hits or something. Like they have to put like additional foam in the holes or something like that. But yeah, I still haven't got the drum kit, and I'd still like to get one, but I think for now, I think the GameCube adapters are like £12 or something like that, so I'll probably get one of those at some point and try that out, because I've got the DK bongos sitting in a box. They probably haven't been used for almost a decade.
Does it actually work for the cone part when you clap?
Yeah, basically, because Donkey Konga, it controls the exact same way. You can hit the top of the bongos for basically the Don, and then you hit the sides of the bongos to get the cars. Because that's basically how Donkey Konga worked. It was like hitting the bongos and then hitting the sides of the bongos. So it's basically the same thing.
Yeah, it's amazing how that actually works like that. That is really cool.
I mean, it's pretty obvious that Namco, they got commissioned by Nintendo to make a rhythm game, and they went, "Oh, we have a rhythm game. Let's just reskin that."
Yeah,
that's essentially what they did when you think about it. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say, really. That's all I've been playing all week. I literally haven't played anything else. Tell a lie, I played a little indie game on my Switch that I got for free from some kind of deal that Cubic Games were doing, because they quite often do this. Their games are either extremely cheap or they give them away. And yeah, one of the games that they gave away for nothing was this game called Not. Like this little puzzle game. Yeah, this game is hard as hell. Like, basically, you're this little guy on a cube, and you have to go in certain directions that it tells you to go into, like on the cube. So it will say right, and then it will say not up, so you'll have to go anywhere but up. But then it will start doing things like not left, and not right, and you have to think about it for a second, but you only got limited time to actually pick the right one, and then it will start adding colours into the mix, so it's like up and not blue, and then it just starts getting. I mean, the title would have gone not, so that's where the whole not left is. So that would be left, and yeah, it's just really simple, but there's something. It is quite brilliant actually, but it can be an absolute brain melt. Like some of the stuff that comes up on it is it gets rough pretty quickly as well, and they make you do some of the harder levels before you can unlock more of the normal levels, which is a bit strange. But yeah, it doesn't look like there's tons of levels, but some of them are so hard that you're going to be playing them for a while anyway, or at least I am, because like my brain can't move that quick when it starts saying things like not blue and up, or up, or something, or not up, or something like that. It's like help. But yeah,
I got that game for about 99p, like when it first came out, and yeah, it is as difficult as you say. Just like you have to think about what you're doing.
Yeah, because they're like deliberately obtuse with a lot of them as well. And yeah, I can't. I think it was a couple of weeks ago, but Cubic Games basically did this thing where you download, I think it was like coloring book or something like that, which was free, and then they give you like another like 6 games for nothing. And I think I already had at least 3 of them because they gave them away for free once before, back in December, I think. So basically, I think I've ended up with about maybe 12 games from that studio, from that publisher, for nothing, like over the last like year or so. But some of their games are actually quite cool, Some of them are whatever, but like there's they can't all be winners, but there have been some legitimately interesting games amongst them.
There are, and they do a lot of deals like this where they find an excuse to give their games away for free. And they often give you like a 33% discount if you own just any one of their other games sometimes.
And you know why they do it, and you can see why they did it as well, because even if a game is free, it still counts as purchasing it. So the charts on the eShop, the entire top 10 or like the top 6 was flooded with their games. So it's just like automatic exposure for them, isn't it? It's like we're giving away a load of free games, but people that have missed out on the deal might buy them. So yeah. Yeah, so that's why they do it. It's obvious why they do it. It's basically pardon me. It's basically racing to the bottom, isn't it? It's like if you're the cheapest game on the eShop, you're gonna automatically pretty much be at the top of the charts. I know on the American eShop they sometimes sell games for like 1 cent. They don't do that over here, unfortunately, but like I have seen that they've sold games on the eShop for like a single cent before, just so they can chart.
I think Limited Run Games actually put up Double Switch and Night Trap on the eShop for like $1 or 10 cents or something like that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
So I actually bought them both on the Switch.
That's definitely one of those games where, like, because I actually recently sold, because I said I was sorting through my Mega CD games and I was selling some of them. I sold my copy of Night Trap a little while ago because I put it in to test it and play it for a bit. And it just reminded me, it's one of those games where you're like, this is funny because it's bad, and then you actually play it and you're like, actually, this is unplayable and I really don't want to play it. I'd rather just watch the cheesy clips online.
Yeah, I can't imagine trying to sit through playing the original game without any of the quality of life stuff introduced in the Anniversary Edition.
I haven't tried the remake yet, so
yeah. The Anniversary Edition, one of the things it does is on the buttons for each of the cameras, it actually shows you a little video of what's happening in real time, so you always know.
Handy.
So you always know when one of those creepers, whatever they're called, you always know when one of them shows up in another room, so you can instantly switch over there, trap them, and then go back to whatever you were watching.
Oh, that's good, because that was the main problem with Night Trap, is the fact that you had to just keep jumping around, and it was kind of just trial and error. You pretty much had to know where everything's going to appear to even have a chance of winning that game. It was basically impossible. Like,
exactly, you have
the first
to
time
play
you play it, it literally makes no sense what you do. People think like Nights into Dreams is fake, but Night Trap is like one of the fakest games ever freaking made. It's just like you just have to keep jumping around with the cameras and hope you stumble upon like the blokes that are creeping around.
Yeah, that is a good example of making an old game accessible for a younger, for a newer generation to play them.
Yeah,
because
I mean, I still wouldn't recommend anyone actually play those games, but like, yeah,
or at least don't play it on the Sega CD or the 32 or the 3DO or whatever else it was on, because it's just ain't nobody got time for that.
Nope.
Seriously.
Yeah. So yeah, that's basically what I've been playing. I've just been like playing loads of Taiko. I think I'm obsessed with this game now. I think I might end up buying DLC and getting really deep. Like, you know, I think they've got me.
Now you know how I felt when I started playing the Hatsune Miku Project Diva games.
Yeah. I mean, I had the same thing with Super Beat Sonic on the Switch about a year or so ago. Like, I put so much time into that game. That didn't even have any online modes. That just had like online rankings. But like the mode in that game where you basically had to just keep playing songs and like building up an accumulative counter where you don't make a single mistake for basically as long as you possibly could. I think I mentioned this on the podcast back when I was playing it, but like I put about 30 hours worth of songs into that mode, and then I broke the bloody combo right at the end of a song, because the thing is, if you break a combo you can quit out and it won't count, but it was at the very end of the song, so it's saved, and I was like, well, there's those 30 hours gone. Like, that ranking, that's it now. I'd have to start from scratch, and I've basically never played the game since. Because of that, because it was all those hours I sunk into that, and I think I actually got close to the top 100 on the rankings. Actually, no, I think I did get into the top, maybe even the top 50 or something like that. It might have been quite high up, but I was slowly climbing my way up it, and now if I wanted to get anywhere near that again, I'd have to sink at least another 30 hours into it. It's like, I think I'm good. Yeah, that's what I've been. That's Taiko. That's what I've been playing. Taiko. Don't know who wants to go next.
I'll go next. I haven't been playing much myself. Obviously, I've been playing Animal Crossing on the daily, so thankfully it's September now, which means it's a new season as well. So things look a bit different, like looking a bit more, well, like it would be this time of year anyway. Like the ground's getting a bit browner and the trees are dropping acorns and bits and pieces. So that's the only thing that's new. I haven't been playing much else, but one thing I did do this week was binge watch the documentary on Netflix, High Score.
Oh yes, I've watched the first episode, but I haven't watched the rest of it yet.
Yeah, I don't mean to brag or anything, but I didn't actually learn anything new from the series.
I'm not particularly surprised. It's pretty much like an entry-level documentary from what I could tell from that first episode, and from what I heard, you know, like what you were saying about it and what other people have said about it. It's very, you know,
I wouldn't say
it's for kind of like beginners or just people that are curious about gaming history but have never really looked into it in a way. And it's just like presented in a really nice way, you know.
That's the unfortunate thing about being in our shoes. Once you know everything, nothing surprises you anymore because you know everything.
Yes,
I'm kidding.
You're just too good. Yeah.
We're too old. We're too good.
Time to retire.
I think old is probably the the top thing there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like this is made for like younger audiences who didn't grow up with Nintendo and didn't grow up with Pac-Man and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, you know what? If you're someone like us and you make a documentary like this, it can be fun to teach people about video game history who probably don't know nearly as much as us.
Yeah,
exactly,
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like in that first episode of High Score, it was going on about the Great Crash of 1983. That didn't really happen over here.
No,
it was just an American thing. Yeah.
It didn't happen in Europe, that's for sure.
Oh no, definitely not.
I mean, if it went on longer, it would have most certainly affected you guys at some point, because North America is still a huge market for video games to this day.
Yeah, when that was going on over there, we had like Commodore 64, obviously Commodore being an American company, and obviously that translated well, but the ZX Spectrum was a big thing over here. And basically there are literally magazines that are just throwing out games, pretty much how what's the website, itch.io these days, just like throwing out games. It does seem like things have come full circle. But going back to the documentary, it was nice to hear Charles Martinet narrate it.
I'm
really?
I'm looking forward to seeing the episode about Sonic and having basically Mario talk about Sonic.
Wouldn't be the first time.
No, that's true.
Yeah, that's true. There was that, what was it? Some kind of like spaghetti or something like that. Some kind of commercial that Charles Martinet did that involved Sonic. Long before he was voicing Mario. Yeah. Long before he was voicing Mario, I believe.
Yeah. He has done a lot of stuff before he was Mario. He was in the English dub for a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure OVA a long time ago.
Yep. Oh yeah, he was, wasn't he? Yeah. What was you gonna say? Sorry, Hunk?
I'm trying to think what else about the documentary. There wasn't really much mentioned like outside of Japan and America. I know they're the big two countries of the gaming world, but I think the only other time, basically the only time a different country was when Argonaut was two programmers from that going over to Nintendo over in Kyoto, and they give the funny story about how when they're making Star Fox, Shigeru Miyamoto would basically be coming down to their office, like come down, say yes or no to something, and then going back up again. So
apparently Miyamoto basically just used the room they worked in as a smoking break room. He just came in there, had a smoke, sort of glanced at what they were doing, would go, "Oh, that was all right," or change that a bit, and then he'd just be off. He just used it as a break room. Just had a smoke, and you could make a whole documentary just about Argonaut and Nintendo's relationship back then, because it's pretty crazy. Like, just flying over these essentially British teenagers over to Japan to work on, these games like Star Fox and X and all that.
Miyamoto's responsibilities sound like a dream job.
Yeah.
Not the smoking part. I wouldn't recommend anyone do that.
Nope.
But just be able to fly across the country like that on your company's dime, only to not really do crap at that. I really want to be able to do that.
Yeah, it is literally just a case of saying, yes, I like that, or no, I don't like that, so don't put that in that game. So.
I like it.
And he knows what he did when he was away from Argonaut's office while he was still in England.
Oh no! He wasn't flying all the way to England just to have a smoke break.
No, they actually.
The British guys, they lived in Japan for a couple of years, didn't they?
Yeah.
They basically had a little office in Nintendo.
Yeah, I was trying to sort of not give away the whole documentary or anything, but the last episode is basically two guys from Argonaut goes to Japan, they're wearing like jeans and t-shirts, and there's about 20 Nintendo like higher ups just come in and say, "Okay, you've made this game for the Game Boy. Tell us how you do it, and we'll give you a job." And so, basically, these two guys got the job and were given an office, which was a lot further away from anything else like technical in the Nintendo building. And the rest of the say is history because Star Fox.
That's what I mean. Like in the case of like Argonaut, they started out as like they were programming stuff for the Amiga before they started doing stuff for Nintendo. They did a lot of 3D stuff, kind of like Star Fox. Basically, they did the primordial soup of Star Fox is on the Amiga. The several games they did there. It would have really been nice for them to use that as a spring-off point for just how big the British scene of video games was, especially in like the late 80s and the early 90s. Just how big the British scene was.
That would be especially cool, especially because Argonaut is not the only developers that started off like that. Traveler's Tales was doing the same thing too. A lot of the the technical stuff that John Burton showed in his videos on Game Hut, a lot of it comes from demos that he made for the Amiga, like the moose chase thing from Mickey Mania, the rotating floor. Which rotates like a cylinder. That comes from a 3D demo he did on the Amiga.
A lot of like the best programmers that worked on like especially like British developers and like lots of European developers, they started out as people that just did like cracktros and like homebrew stuff and
bedroom coding
essentially. The whole microcomputer era was full of that. And there are other documentaries out there that emphasize that stuff a bit more, like the whole micro scene. So I guess that wasn't really the aim of High Score. I'd say High Score was just to get out the obvious stuff, the Space Invaders, the Pac-Man, the Sega versus Nintendo, PlayStation coming around, all that kind of stuff. It's all the pretty, to us, obvious stuff, but obviously from what I've seen, it's actually been in the top 10 most watched on Netflix over the last week or so. So that's good to see that it's got enough people's interest.
One other thing about the documentary, they did it quite a few times. They showed you like the sort of national video game competitions from like the early 80s and early 90s.
Oh yeah.
Had like the Space Invaders, like champion, as it were.
Oh yes,
Nintendo World Championships, the young category winner, and what was that? Oh, Sega's Rock the Rock competition, which is
I haven't seen. As I say, I haven't seen the other episodes yet, but that'd be cool to see because
that was part of the.
That was like
Sonic
MTV,
episode.
Wasn't it?
It was.
That was part of that competition was getting a certain amount of rings in one of the levels in Sonic and Knuckles, playing as Knuckles, and you had to get as many as you could in a certain time. And Chris Tang was the winner. And after he did his part for that documentary, he actually went back into Sonic and Knuckles to actually beat his record from that competition, and he actually did beat it.
Yeah. Well, I suppose it's got 20 years, 25 plus years experience of the game now compared to like playing it for the first time.
Yeah, and I don't know if he played that stage under the competition rules like several times before he started practicing it again just to beat the record right now.
I mean, it's a documentary. They probably, exaggerate some things in there. And they choose to not tell you little details like, oh, we actually asked him to practice before he did his run on the documentary. But it's
I don't think they asked him to do that for the documentary at all. Actually,
oh, was that a separate thing? Because I saw a little video.
He just decided to do it on his own. Probably because the whole thing made him nostalgic for the competition.
Yeah. That's fair. I mean, like, obviously it's not perfect, but it's good that it exists. I guess
Yeah.
Basically, I like what Elk was just saying. This like Chris Tang going back to play Sonic and Knuckles like a few years on. I wonder if like I know there are a few Twitch channels out there of basically these champions from years ago playing today and seeing how they like play. I know that. I suppose it's like not that I want to mention his name, but Billy Mitchell. Yeah, he's still on Twitch and doing high scores.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Not that I watch him because, you know, sour grapes and all, but well,
It's been a while since we talked about him.
yeah. I didn't
Wow.
but here he is.
I presume all that lawsuit stuff just sort of fell through in the end.
Yeah.
I haven't really heard anything about it since.
I'm sure we'll hear more about it soon.
Yeah, we might.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll soon find out, I guess.
But yeah, it's just good to hear that there are some gamers still out there still got it and are willing to play online and see how far they go that way.
Yeah, that's good. The only thing that was a bit weird about that Space Invaders tournament for me is why were they playing the Atari version?
Yeah.
Couldn't they afford like some cabinets or something? Why were they going with the Atari one? It just seemed like a strange choice, but I guess because
weird.
They could fill a whole room with Ataris, but filling a whole room with arcade cabinets would probably be a bit more difficult, I suppose.
I
think Taito even released a Space Invaders collection recently. They could have recorded from that.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm talking about how the actual tournament back in the day used the Atari version rather than the arcade one. I'm just surprised they went with that version. Yeah, but whatever. I guess it's the version people could practice at home as well. So I guess that would be why. Yeah.
I reckon it was just like a big publicity stunt by Atari to basically get people out there to see what the 2600 does, and
yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, basically any competition is just like a publicity thing. Like the Nintendo World Championships was basically to get the last few NESs off the shelves and everything.
Yep.
Yeah, and even the Nintendo competitions they do today, like the Splatoon 2 Open tournaments, those are also marketing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Of course they are. They're not doing it for their own health or whatever the saying is. But yeah.
So yeah, that's basically my week this week.
Cool. Any more exploits with Mario Lego or?
No, I've actually put it away for now, but I probably will dig out. Well, I haven't had my nieces
in storage.
Yeah. I don't want to blame my nieces, but my nieces haven't been round to play in it, so
fair enough.
I kind of feel a bit, I don't know, sad and lonely if I'm just playing Lego by myself. But
yeah. If you had some kids coming over, then I'd understand you get it back out then. But did you see that video that was on Twitter where someone actually made some program with an NES emulator where you can actually control Super Mario Brothers for the NES with the Lego Mario?
I did, and that's it's all done by Bluetooth, so
so he's got like this little panel thing, kind of like what you use with the Lego Mario, and he's tilting the toy back and like forwards and backwards to move left and right, and then he's like thrusting the Mario toy upwards to jump. I don't know how running works, if at all, but like it was quite funny how every time he jumped, the Mario toy was going woohoo.
It just does that automatically, even without an NES.
Yeah, I figured that was just the toy just does that if you shoot it upwards.
Sounds annoying.
Hence why I put it back in the box.
Woohoo! All right, shut up now. Get in the box. Oh.
So yeah, no more Lego for me
for the time being.
I wish I could afford the expansion packs, but I haven't won the lottery yet.
The expansion packs sure don't wish you could afford them.
Especially the NES console one.
Yeah. All right, who wants to go next?
I guess I'll go next. Why not?
Oh.
Okay, first of all, you already know what I've been playing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing I've been playing this whole week.
Metopia.
No, I stopped playing that after a while. I really should play Metopia again. I've just been playing nonstop PSO2 because the last week was the final week of the summer event in PSO2, and basically that's the only way I got to experience summer. Because
yeah,
well, because
that makes sense.
Even when there's no lockdown, I don't actually get to go to a beach. The beaches are too far away from me. So this is the closest thing to that I could experience. So I played more of the Beach Wars urgent quest whenever that came up, which has been such a blast. And I got a couple of exclusive items from it. So did any of you? I know some of you started playing PSO2 after it came to Europe. Did you ever get to try the Beach Wars event?
No, as I say, I haven't really had much chance to play it yet. I've literally put less than an hour into it and just did like the little prologue thing so far.
Oh, really? Oh, man. You got to put more time into this game sometime. Anyways, yeah. Just as a reminder, Beach Wars is an event that comes up at certain times during the day where they have you go to the sea planet Wopal, to the coast area, where a bunch of ocean creatures, as well as the main monsters of the game, the fall spawn, they start attacking the beach, and you and a bunch of other players have to wipe them out. And in doing so, you have a chance at getting some special items, which I got most of them, actually. Summer Niaos and Summer Rappies show up during the event. And by beating them up, you have a chance at winning some exclusive weapon camos. You can get a kitboard camo for a rod, or a floaty camo for the wired lances. I managed to get them both. In fact, I actually wound up getting so many kickboards. I just have so many stockpiled up.
And I want 4 of them.
Yeah, and I want to open up a personal shop so I can sell them, because they're taking too much space.
They take up too much physical space in this digital game.
Yeah. And I also forgot to mention before that when you're playing Beach Wars, it actually plays Outrun music as the background track.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it plays
that's cool.
Either Splash
Is
Wave...
Is it still going, or did you say it's finished now?
No, it's done now.
Oh, well, fair enough.
So they play either Splash Wave, Magical Sound Shower, or the third track, which I can't remember the name of. And specifically, they play the Outrun 2 versions of the songs.
Oh, interesting.
And it really made me realize just what a perfect summer soundtrack the Outrun 2 soundtrack really is.
Oh, yes. Love Outrun 2. I think I like Outrun 2 more than 1, to be honest. I've always just found it more playable. Like,
yeah, it is a much better game, actually. It just makes the original Outrun look really simple by comparison. Even Sega Ages Outrun.
I always just found the original Outrun so much harder as well. Like 2, I can actually complete that quite well, but like the original game, I always just seem to run out of time very quickly. But maybe that's the settings, I don't know. But would you say the Beach Wars thing is the swimsuit episode of Phantasy Star Online 2?
Pretty much, yeah, because they encourage you to actually. It encourages you to actually wear a swimsuit if you have one in the game, and I actually have a couple. I shelled out some money for the Seaside Vacations fashion line, which includes some swimsuits, and I won a bunch. So when you wear them during Beach Wars, it starts up a PSE event, or photon sensitive event, which when those come up,
photons.
Photons are the energy that make up your techniques and your magical abilities in the PSO universe. Yeah, so when that happens, you actually have a higher rate of rare item drops. So you can get those exclusive items much more easily. So the more people wear those, if they have them, the higher the PSC event gets, or the more often it comes up. So, unfortunately, the Seaside Vacations line is no longer up for sale. And also, during the month, the Fresh Finds shop, which also sold some of those swimsuits, actually went down because they had a problem. They had to close it for maintenance.
Oh dear.
It's only going back up right now after the maintenance period last night ended. But none of the swimsuits are available anymore, unfortunately.
Oh.
But yeah, it's pretty much the swimsuit episode because there's also a bunch of story mode characters that show up during Beach Wars wearing their swimsuits. And they pop up saying, "Hey, I was just relaxing here," when suddenly all these monsters show up, and then a bunch of stronger monsters show up.
Now I have no armor on to protect myself.
Oh, oh, they do. They just hit it. You can put a stealth.
They hid their armor.
Yeah, they hid their armor.
Bikini.
In their bikinis. Yes,
Yeah,
indeed. They have armored bikinis.
Stuffed it right down there.
And the guys have armored swim trunks.
Right.
And speaking of story,
so at least one part of them is protected.
And speaking of story, I also did play a bit of episode 4. And they're also doing another story event, which when you play through enough of the story throughout September, if you get to a certain chapter, you get a special kitty pose emote where you just get on all fours and do a sexy kitty pose.
Oh no. You could have just said kitty pose, but the fact that you threw the word sexy in there just made that 10 times worse.
You were all thinking it anyway. You were all thinking it as soon as I said kitty pose.
I wasn't. I legitimately wasn't. I thought you were just going to be like one of them like Nyan things, you know, where they just like pour their hands or whatever.
Well, maybe if you're a guy, because the emotes are all unisex.
Oh, guys are not allowed to be sexy, of course.
But anyway, yeah, I played a bit of episode 4, and it starts off in such a way that I did not expect. So without spoiling anything, it starts off with your character waking up from cryogenic sleep 2 years after the events of episode 3. And they immediately start off on a new mission with a young boy who's just introduced. And the young boy gets attacked by a monster, you save them, and then immediately after, and you're not going to believe this, the boy logs out. He logs out the same way anyone playing PSO2 would log out when they're done playing.
Yeah.
All right.
And then you find the young boy is actually a girl who was playing PSO2 on her computer.
Oh, it's so meta.
Yeah, I did not expect them to start breaking the fourth wall this early on in the game.
Didn't they do some kind of like anime that was like people playing PSO2 or something?
There was.
Yeah.
There was. Phantasy Star Online 2, the animation.
Yeah.
Which I might have to start watching, actually.
Yeah. I heard mixed things about it. I heard a lot of people saying it was a bit odd, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure episode 4 actually came out around the same time as that anime in Japan. Because it's around this time where none of the characters from the animation show up in the episode 4 story. But it's around this time they start introducing some cosmetic items for players, which match some items from the characters in the anime.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, so
you've got to remember we're catching up with story content that they've had for like the last 10 years plus. So.
Mm-hmm. And then right after this, the girl who is playing the game, she gets attacked by zombies, and your character comes out of her computer. In the game. I know this is starting to sound a little confusing, but yeah, your character comes out of the computer and saves the girl who just logged out of PSO2 from the zombies. And she also finds that the boy, the avatar that she made for the game,
you were keeping this spoiler free.
Well, this happens right at the beginning, so there's really not
just
much.
The first 2 minutes.
Yeah. So the boy wakes up on her bed, her avatar in the game.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Well, it could have been a lot worse. It could have been a lot worse because it turns out there's a lot of censorship going on in episode 4 in the Western version of the game. because that boy is actually supposed to be naked when he's on her bed in the Japanese version. For the Western version, I found out they put clothes on him. And when the girl's freaking out about him being there, they changed her dialogue so she's no longer referencing the fact that he's naked.
Well, no, because he's wearing clothes. It wouldn't make much sense if he went, oh, "You're naked," and he's not.
Yep. There's actually a few scenes in episode 4 where this girl is shown naked, where they put clothes on her.
For God's sake.
In fact, there's I found out there's even a bathing scene where she and one of her other friends bathes the young boy. And public baths, as you may know, they're kind of common in Japan. Not so much here. So they cut the whole thing out in the Western version.
Yeah. Right. It always makes me laugh when you see these these YouTube videos where they're like, "Oh, this is an outrage! I don't get my pervy stuff."
Yeah,
almost every bit of censorship they ever talk about is like, "Oh, they got rid of a bit of cleavage." It's like, oh, get a girlfriend.
Yeah, I know. But honestly, we're really not missing much. I mean, in the bathing scene, they even do that. They even do that silly anime trope where the boy just reaches out and grabs one of their breasts without knowing it's breasts. It's like, oh, what is this soft thing? I'm just grabbing.
Doodle.
I'm kidding. He doesn't get slapped, but yeah, that happens.
Slapped. He has a big gushing nosebleed, and then everyone laughs.
And you know what? I watch a lot of anime that has that kind of trope in it, and even I couldn't help but wince when I saw it in the game. I don't know, maybe I'm just finally now starting to get sick of it.
It does get a bit like boring after a while. You're just like, yep, you're doing this again.
Yeah, but there's a video by Censored Gaming who detailed some of the stuff that was censored out of PSO.
That's literally the channel I'm talking about. Almost every single video I've ever seen of theirs seems to be the same kind of censorship. It's not like, oh, they took out a plot development or something like that. It's usually a case of, they made it less horny. I want the horny.
Yeah.
Usually
horny.
Usually it's stuff like that, or like there's a bit of violence that got censored out of the release for Germany. Or like a reference to Nazi Germany that was taken out of the German version.
Yeah. So
like in Uncharted 2, when the bad guy mentions Hitler, they have him mention Stalin instead of Hitler.
Oh, yeah. I think South Park Stick of Truth was one that had quite some heavy censorship when it came out in Europe. But only on the console versions, but not on Steam, apparently.
Yeah, they had a scene that was censored from the game in Australia. I don't even remember what happened in it, though. But like they replaced it with a picture of a crying koala, and then they happening in text.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. I remember all that going on.
And finally, in PSO2, there's also more urgent quests that are coming up, which are pretty much bosses that you face later on in episode 4. So there's monsters that attack Earth. There's one that you fight on the moon. There's another guy who actually takes control of an old Japanese battleship from like World War II or something. And you have to get into these mech suits and actually battle with the large battleship. It's really cool. So, forgot to mention, there's new missions in that game that take place in Tokyo and in Las Vegas. So you're battling against a bunch of Earth stuff that's been taken over by some kind of magic. I don't know. So, like, there's rats, there's more zombies, there's attack helicopters and tanks, there's T-Rexes. There's like a big Statue of Liberty thing that you have to fight as well.
Oh my god!
It looks
everything.
Yeah, it looks
dinosaurs,
it looks silly.
World War II ships, cliched anime rubbish. It's got everything.
Yeah, and also I've been doing more of the Persona concerts and the Arcs dance concerts. I really love those. I find when I played the Persona concerts, I realized that when you do well enough that you get a large combo, at a certain point in the song, a fever moment shows up. Starts happening where another Persona character joins the one character dancing on the stage. So, like, if you watch the Persona 5 one, you'll have to forgive me, I don't remember most of the names, but there's one girl who's always there on the floor. If you get a fever, she gets joined by another girl from the game named Haru Okamura, who is the only character whose name I can remember. And then other times she might instead be joined by Joker. And then the same thing happens during
Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
That's the only one I actually know the name of because he was in Smash Brothers.
Yeah, well, I don't even know his real name.
Chi. I know Chi because she's in BlazBlue Cross Tag. I know some of the Persona characters from Cross Tag Battle. That's about it. That's my entire exposure to Persona is like Cross Tag Battle, I think.
Yeah, well, he shows up. I don't remember his real name. But yeah, Joker shows up.
We'll call him
Johnson. Random.
We shall call him Johnson.
Yeah, so we don't confuse him with the Batman Joker.
Yeah, he is Johnson.
And then the Arcs Dance Festival, I'm really sad that's going away because that's got to be my favorite concert so far. That's the one where Takanobu Mitsuyoshi shows up for the first song.
Oh, yeah.
And then they have the second one, they have the song where you're praying for a blessing of rare item drops. And the Mitsuyoshi song in particular, that feels like such a triumphant moment, just the song itself. We Are Arts is what it's called.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never
that
before, yeah.
Yeah, did any of you actually get to see any of these concerts in the game?
Again, I've only played less than an hour of it. I have not played it yet. Technically, I have not barely touched it.
You could have played it at a time where that concert just happened to be going on. That actually happened to me my first time playing the game.
Yeah. I think when I played it, I just walked around the lobbies and the casino and stuff and was just kind of looking around, and I was like, okay, I'll come back to this later.
And then you never come back to it. Shame on you.
I have work. Also Taiko. And other things. I just haven't really had time to commit to it, you know?
Oh, just wait until Taiko comes to PSO2. It could happen.
That probably will happen at some point because it is in Yakuza, so...
Yeah, I mean, in Japan, they apparently had a Nier Automata event where you could get costumes from that game. I don't know if that's going to happen in the West. The Persona events happened here, so anything's possible, I suppose.
Yeah, it depends if they can get all the rights again, I suppose.
But yeah, I spent so much time just trying to get the most out of these events while they were still happening and to catch all the concerts. I don't know if the Persona concerts are still going to happen for a while. The Persona costumes are still available to purchase. But I'm pretty sure Arcs Dance was done because that's based on a Japanese summer festival.
Yeah. Right.
And then really I haven't been playing much else. I mean, I guess I played a bit of Donkey Kong Country on the Nintendo Switch. And I'm getting so much further in the game than I did as a kid.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, mostly because I'm a lot better at games like this than I used to be. But it's also because I'm just now realizing that when I was a kid, most of the time in games like this, or like Super Mario World, where you had a map where you could select the level that you go to and you had to progress that way. Most of the time when I played games like that as a kid, I didn't really go anywhere because somehow it never occurred to me that there was more to the game than just the first few levels. So I was just satisfied playing the first couple of levels over and over and over and over again.
You never thought to press right on the map screen.
Yep. Never thought to go beyond the first island in Super Mario World either. Unlike a game like Sonic, where they don't have a world map, they just force you straight into the next level. Like, you're going to get to the end of this game whether you like it or not. But yeah, I'm getting so much further in Donkey Kong Country, and there's so many levels that I didn't even know about in the past. like the oil refinery levels. I really like the music in those levels.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it's a
interesting.
matter of time until I finally beat the game for the first time on the Switch.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to have to go back to that, I think, and actually try and play through that properly at some point.
Yeah, that, and I spent some more time with Pop and Twinbee. I just really like that game.
It's great.
And it's so nice to finally be able to experience it.
That whole series is just grand. Some of the older games are a bit harder to go back to now, I guess, like the original NES ones and stuff. But like everything from like SNES and arcade, like onwards, is all good.
The Super Nintendo game's probably the most accessible too, because to my knowledge, it's the only one where you have a health bar. You don't go down at one hit.
Well, in some of the other ones, you sort of like, if you get hit, you lose like an arm, and then you lose your second arm, and then like the little ambulance thing will come along, and then if you manage to grab that as quick as possible, then you will get your arms back. But yeah, other than
that's true. But you only lose an arm if you get hit in the arm.
Yeah,
and the same thing. I don't remember if that also happens in Pop and Twinbee. But yeah, your arms are kind of a smaller target in those games, so you're a lot more likely to get hit in the face.
That's true.
All right.
And yeah, I think that's about all I've been playing. I really need to play some more games, and I might now that summer event is over in PSO2, so I can make more time for other stuff.
All right.
Okay, so I guess it's just me now.
Yeah.
I guess it is.
You can take a wild guess what I've been playing. It's
PSO2.
Several Pokemon. I don't know. Sun, orange.
Lost track of which one's right now.
Did you forget
together. They're all blurring together.
Did you forget what
Pokemon
Silver, game you were
Orange 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think there was a game that took place on the Orange Islands.
But yeah, funny enough, I think Orange Islands is the part of the anime I'm on at the moment as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're still watching the anime.
Yeah.
I really want to watch the Orange Island seasons again.
I think Orange Island is still on like the Pokemon TV website.
Oh yeah, I forgot all about Pokemon TV.
Yeah,
because they rotate, didn't they?
What
seasons they've got.
So at the moment, I think it's still season 1 and 2, and I'm on 2 at the moment. And then they used to have like 5, 6 in there, but I think it got rotated out. So it's just like some of the later ones now, like Sun and Moon and X and Y. And apparently, Journeys is going to air on the British TV later on this month.
No, it started yesterday.
Oh, did it?
Yep, 1st of September.
What on the
Just
Pop?
in time for the kids.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Going back to school.
Okay, because we don't watch live TV anymore. I'm kind of out the loop with what's on TV like live.
Yeah.
Live TV? What's that?
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's an 80s thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds like something my parents grew up with when they were children.
Yeah, well, funny enough, in the UK, on the main channels now, they don't really do children's programming in the afternoons on school days anymore.
Well, that's because they have separate channels for it.
Yeah, there's that, and the UK got really funny with lining up kids shows with fast food adverts.
Yeah, they basically put essentially a ban on those kind of adverts while kids stuff's on.
Yeah, and they ran out of money as well for that kind of thing to be on the mainline channels. Yeah. So.
Well, yeah, this isn't really an American thing. This is more of a UK thing. But for the longest time, up until somewhere in the mid 2000s or early 2000s, we literally had 5 channels. Unless you had satellite or cable, we had 5 channels. That were free. Well, technically free, but not.
Well, it was
wow.
Yeah, it was free until 1982.
Yeah.
And then 5 in 1997.
Yeah. Yeah, we literally had 5 channels.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless you had satellite or cable, of course. Then you had hundreds of channels.
Now
but
there's
terrestrial what we call terrestrial TV. What you get from an aerial.
Yeah.
There was very few channels.
Mm.
I remember back when I was a kid, like when it was like the height of summer and it was really hot. For some reason, I was able to just about tune in like foreign channels onto my telly. But like just about like if you scanned around enough, you could find like French channels and Spanish channels and stuff. But like not like amazing quality, but you could just about scan them through.
Yeah. Well, apparently, we could technically do that with the Roku that we bought the other day.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a new toy. We got one of those Roku streaming stick things, so we just.
And funny enough,
do that stuff.
Because like Pokemon TV's like its own streaming service for just like whatever the Pokemon episodes they have. They've got that channel on Roku to download as a separate channel.
It's a bit sad though, because now we literally have zero reason to have the PlayStation 3 hooked up. Because we were pretty much literally just using it as a Netflix machine. That's pretty much all we were using it for.
Yeah.
We haven't got a smart TV, so... And obviously they haven't put Netflix on the Switch, which I really still wish they would, just because it'd be nice to have it there. But yeah, we were mostly using the PS3. Well, we were exclusively using the PS3 for Netflix. And in the case of like Disney Plus, we had to use like my laptop and stuff, or iPad or whatever. But yeah. Got that new little thing. So poor PS3, it's gonna just be practically disconnected for a while now, unless I get the urge to play Scott Pilgrim or something.
Yeah, or Tokyo Jungle.
Yeah, or something like that. So yeah, just Pokemon games mostly this week.
Yeah, and Dr. Mario and all that lark.
So that was our PSO2 and Pokemon Dr. Mario update.
An Animal Crossing update.
Yeah, and Animal Crossing update, I suppose. And in my case, it's probably going to be Taiko update every week at this point.
I'm
going to try and play some other games this week. I want to play my TurboGrafx 16 Mini again. I wanted to play it this week because it was the last week was or maybe 2 weeks ago, was the 31st anniversary of the TurboGrafx 16's North American release. But I didn't end up spending any time with it.
Oh, you know what I should try and get on with? Well, yesterday was the 25th anniversary of Rayman. So, you know, since the game first came out on the PlayStation, Jaguar, whichever one came first.
Well,
it was certainly 1st September 1995. But given like in true Ubisoft fashion, there's been absolutely no big celebration of it.
No. I literally tweeted out on the day, "Happy birthday, Rayman! Shame you're owned by Ubisoft." That's all I put. It's just like...
I think at the moment they're really, really banking on that. There was that game that Hyperscape, isn't it? And
not even going to get into Ubisoft at the moment. I'm still not really.
And Gods and Monsters. But they've done some incredibly pooey things lately as well.
Yeah, there's kind of a reason we didn't cover Ubisoft Forward, and I know they've got another one coming up, but I still don't really want to cover it because you've seen the news, you've seen what they're like.
It's two turds in a sandwich for the price of one.
Basically, yeah. Not really a fan of Ubisoft in recent days. I know there's always been these people like, oh, sell Sonic to Nintendo and all this kind of rubbish. But in the case of Rayman, I would literally be happy with someone else taking over Rayman if they actually want to do something with it. Because Ubisoft clearly don't.
Let Sega take it. They'll give Rayman over to an indie developer or something and have them make a cool ass game.
Someone's got to do something with it. Like they clearly can't. Anyone's got to do more. As long as they don't sell him to like Konami or something, it's all right.
Oh, anybody's better than
Rayman
Konami.
Pachinko.
Well, I was going to say, in line with that though, well, you know, there's Rayman Redemption. The fellow that's made that game has put out a silly little sequel to. It's called Rayman Bowling 2. And-
one of the fun games.
Yeah.
The phone games.
The re-
Oh,
no,
Did you say Rayman bowling?
Yes.
Like
It's-
throwing a ball at the 10 pins to see how many you can knock down?
Yep. It was a really old I want to say like Nokia J2ME type
Probably
game.
like a Java.
Yeah,
thing,
no, really old Java game.
So he's made a fan sequel to that.
Yeah, for a laugh.
Oh, fair enough.
And yeah, I feel like
Does Rayman throw his stomach down the lane?
apparently.
Well, that'd be funny.
I'm-
So funny.
Mind you, yeah,
And when his
I want to.
stomach comes back, he just vomits.
Yeah. Well, he plays basketball with his body, and he turns out fine. So yeah, absolutely no injuries whatsoever apparently. But yeah, I'm really not happy with how there's not been so much of a song and dance from Ubisoft. I don't know if they're doing this on purpose or if it's because they're banking on they do a franchise, this like I said, Hyperscape, or if something's under some really heavy NDA or what. But yeah, it's like that old trope you get in cartoons where like the other characters forget someone's birthday on purpose. But then they hold a surprise party, but there's no surprise party at all.
Yeah. It's like one of those episodes of a cartoon, except it hasn't got the ending bit where they do have a surprise party.
Yeah.
Also, all of Rayman's friends are dirtbags.
Mm.
In this case.
Yeah.
All his family are dirtbags.
Mm.
Or a good chunk of them.
Yeah, the majority of them.
Anyway.
I'll just say fornication under consent of the king, Ubisoft.
Yes.
It's an
Speaking of Pokemon, did anyone see that hashtag that was trending yesterday on Twitter?
Yes.
Right.
I did.
I'm just
beautiful.
Yeah. Right. So someone at the Pokemon company really screwed up with the social media side of things because they had a mobile game coming out called Pokemon Masters EX. Right. So let's do a little hashtag for it, and let's make it so like a little Game Boy sprite comes up when you do the hashtag. That'd be really cute. But the thing with Twitter is it tends to ignore capitalization and spaces and everything like that when you do hashtags. So you can probably guess what happened when this hashtag went out. Pokemon Masters X.
Yep. In the words of PewDiePie, Game Freak did an oopsie.
Oh, don't quote PewDiePie, please.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's PewDiePie!
Please don't. Can't stand him.
Meme review.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, as you can imagine, that basically it went trending, but not for the reason they were hoping, basically. But yeah. Anyway,
just take our word for it. Don't look it up on Twitter.
You got two great balls. Anyway.
Hey, you. Hey. Don't you look it up. Don't you look it up. I'm telling you right now, you already know what to expect.
Lots and lots of jokes, but also lots and lots of
hot
horny.
dogs.
But yeah. Let's move on to the news, I guess. I don't think that trending thing really counts as news.
I think that was plenty of news.
Yeah, that's all the news. Yeah, so last week we talked about the reveal of Wonder Boy Asha in Monster World.
Yeah.
And and now, not long after they announced it, as promised, on the 29th, they revealed a trailer. I'm going to pop the trailer up on the stream so people can see it. Yeah, that'll do. It's not the whole thing. I'm just going to play it in the background with no sound, obviously. No, I've done the wrong thing. I wasn't meant to do that. There we go. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. Honestly, like they revealed it. It's they said it. When they revealed the game with that bit of concept art, they were like, "Oh, it's going to be full 3D, blah blah blah," and the implication was that it was they kind of worded it like it might be a sequel or like a follow up to the Mega Drive game, but turns out it's just a straight up remake, which is fine. I'm just not sure how I feel about how it looks right now. I mean, it's coming out next year. This is just my personal opinion, but I just don't know how I feel about it. It's quite clear from this trailer that this is a very early build because the frame rate just tanks. And quite a lot of the scenes I've noticed, like it gets really crunchy in spots, but also it just just like, oh, look at that, look at that frame rate.
It looks like a 3DS like game.
Yeah, I don't know. It's this
3DS game.
I do feel like this is, it's early days. It's a 2021 game. It's probably a ways off, and the good thing about 3D is you can improve it, but. I just don't know if after that beautiful remake we got of Dragon's Trap and also Monster Boy, I just don't know how I feel about how it looks right now. It looks a bit cheap, and especially that scene in the trailer. If I just bring up the actual shot, where is it? Where they actually compare the two, and it's like, yeah, there you go. They just compare the two, and it's just like, oh, one still looks better. The original game has such a lovely art style and such nice cute animation and just really nicely done. And I don't know, I feel like all the charm's kind of been sucked out of it. When you look at this remake, the animation's a lot stiffer. There isn't as much character to it. Asha doesn't shake her tush when she opens a chest anymore. But yeah, I don't know. It's just I'm still optimistic about it, but after seeing this trailer, I'm not like, oh, I must pre-order this when it comes out physically or anything like that, because I've already played this game. If it was a sequel, I'd be a bit more inclined, but the fact that it's a straight remake, and I already have plenty of ways of playing this game fully translated, on the PlayStation 3, on the the Mega Drive Mini, it's on there, stuff like that. I just don't really see the point of this if it's just gonna be an uglier version of the original game. I don't know what you guys think, but
yeah.
I mean, I actually kind of like what they're doing, but at the same time, I like it, not love it.
Yeah, exactly. It's okay. It's not terrible. But
there's some things, and I kind of like how they remade the backgrounds actually. But yeah, taking something like this and translating it to 3D is kind of an uphill battle. So I can understand why people feel the way they do.
Yeah, I mean, when they put out that concept art, the first thing that went through my head is, 3D rendering has come a long way. You can make 3D games look 2D. You can do, the animation. You can make the animation match the original. There's plenty of games out there that do 3D graphics but still manage to have the charm of 2D animation to an extent. There's only so much you could do with 3D to replicate 2D. But some companies are getting there and stuff like that. And I don't know, there was just such a unique art style to the original game. It had this sort of soft pastel quality to it that I just feel like it's just kind of lost in this remake from what we've seen so far.
Just looks like it looks like a 3DS Pokemon game.
Kinda, yeah.
I think the main problem is the animations. I think the character models for the most part look okay.
Yeah, they're fine.
They could definitely use some improvements, but
the thing is, it's the animation for me. I think
it's like when you were talking about how she doesn't shake her booty when she opens the treasure chest. So I always thought it was really cute. So yeah, they do have to work on, and I'm especially noticing it in the monster characters, like that werewolf that attacks her with the rapid punches early on in the trailer. Yeah. It kind of has I guess the best way for me to describe it, it's like it's a copy paste type of face on the werewolf, where it's weird. I know I usually have a problem with trying to describe things, but the way it looks, it's like there's not much expression with the werewolf, and the actions that lead up to the rapid punches, they kind of they don't match the face at all. I don't know. It's weird.
I know what you mean. Yeah. As I say, I don't think it looks terrible by any means, but like we've just had, I think we've just been like spoiled for when it comes to Wonder Boy stuff lately. That this feels like a downgrade compared to what we have had already.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. We're so used to the beautiful 2D animation in Monster Boy and the Dragon's Trap remake, and even that remake of the original Wonder Boy, which didn't have quite as nice 2D animation, but it's still a really damn good looking game. Like you can tell they really worked hard on the animations, trying to recapture, or maybe not recapture, but retranslate the charming visuals of the original game. Which they can still do that with this game. It's still
they totally can. Yeah, they totally can.
If you remember Bloodstained, that game actually had some cheap animations.
That went through so many changes and so much feedback, and they gave it all different rendering techniques, and they were going, do you want it cel shaded or do you want it partially cel shaded? And they basically went through the whole gauntlet of how to make that game look, and it just went leaps and bounds.
Exactly, and the results of that were actually quite beautiful.
Do you remember what Shenmue 3 looked like when they first showed it? On the PlayStation stage? It looked terrible. It looked absolutely horrendous. You know how hyped we were when that came on, but then we saw the characters and it was like Ryu didn't even look like Ryo. He just looked weird and just like malformed, and like everything was just like basically rendered and stuff. Obviously the game's not really beautiful to look at now, like the finished product, but it still looks 100 times better than when they first revealed it. Obviously that was like 5 years in development, but yeah. Sometimes I feel like we've talked about this before, how like Nintendo showed off Paper Mario and it was like, it's out in 2 months, here's what's essentially the final product, whereas you get these game trailers for games that are way off, and they're showing it way too early. This game, I'm going to say without a doubt, they're showing it far too early. I think the frame rate in the trailer and the resolution of everything kind of gives that away, because not only is it like really choppy, it's also looks like it's running at like barely 720p. It's like really pixelated for some reason. I feel like they probably should have just held out on showing this for like they need to stick it in the oven for a bit longer before they showed it off for the first time, because it's just not a good first impression. And I feel like with time, especially depending on when they plan to release this thing, whether it's early next year or late next year, they've got plenty of time to improve the animation and the rendering and the frame rate, obviously, stuff like that. It's early days.
Yeah.
I remember. You know what? This reminded me of something. First of all, there's another game that went through that same process with its graphics. The King of Fighters 14.
Oh yes.
Where early on, even though I actually liked how it looked early on, after the game came out, they issued an update where they completely overhauled the 3D graphics. And even though I liked how it looked before, I do love the new look a lot better. Like, I would not go back to the first look before that update.
What was you going to say, Stacey? Sorry.
I was going to say, do you remember do you remember the really, really early days of like Cuphead? Like, if you compared it to what it looks like now, God, the older trailers were just so wonky.
They clearly got in better animators for that as well.
Yes.
That's a 2D game, so
Yeah.
Again, years and years in development.
Yeah, we're talking a long time.
Yeah. But anyways, back to the King of Fighters. I remember something that SNK said in an interview for the King of Fighters 13, which was the last 2D game in the series.
Yeah.
And they mentioned that when they went 3D after for the King of Fighters 14 and for Samurai Showdown 2019, they mentioned how they did so because there's not as many 2D game artists in Japan as there was during the Neo Geo days, which when they made KOF 13, they tried to stick to 2D as long as they could. In fact, not many people know this, but for King of Fighters 13, they're not actually using 2D sprites for any of the characters. It's actually
made 3D models, didn't they? And then they basically drew over each frame in pixel art. They still drew the pixel art, but they used 3D as a reference.
Kind of. Yeah, kind of. And they used some clever shading on it to just hide the fact that it came from 3D models.
They still painstakingly pixel arted those, and the main reason they don't do games like that now is because that pixel art was taking them so much time to do. It was insane because they were really high resolution sprites as well. So even with the shortcut of having 3D models as a reference, underneath, because even Street Fighter 3 did that to some extent. They didn't just draw it all from scratch in pixel art. They did have 3D models for some of that as well. But that 2D unfortunately is becoming a bit of a dying art in Japanese video game development. There's something isn't it? Because you got to think this Wonder Boy game is the first of these remakes that is Japanese. Like,
that's right. This one's being developed in Japan.
Yeah,
and even with the remakes as well as Monster Boy, that wasn't really sprites. That was all animation. That was all hand-drawn animation.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So
I'm not really looking for sprite animation in everything, but like I wasn't expecting this Wonder Boy remake to be, sprites, because as you say, Monster Boy and Dragon's Trap were both high resolution. But yeah, it does kind of show a sort of like change in the tides where there seems to be a lot more 2D anime. It's kind of ironic because Japan has the massive anime scene. They have tons of 2D animation that they pump out all the time, far more 2D animation than any other country really does. But at the same time, they just don't seem to have as many 2D animators working in video games anymore like they used to. But it's kind of gone the opposite way now, where there's a lot of the 2D animation you see in games now is like European.
Or even like American games, like even Sonic Mania stuck with the sprite gameplay, and even when Sega themselves tried to do 2D Sonic again in Japan, that was when they did Sonic 4. They went with varying types of 3D modeling and animation, and I know they tried really hard to capture the look of old Sonic, but in the end it's really not going to look quite the same. No. And that's what's happening here with what is it, Wonder Boy, Asha, and Monster World. I keep getting the name mixed up.
I mean, that's per tradition with Wonder Boy games. It wouldn't be a Wonder Boy game if you're not getting confused somewhere with the title.
Yeah,
it's called Wonder Boy, but it doesn't star a boy,
So I imagine that, especially because they still have all the staff from the old Wonder Boy developments working on this remake, they're going to make it look. They're going to try their hardest to make it look as close to the nice charm of the original as possible.
I hope so.
Really, that's that's just what they're forced to do in Japan, because even if they could. Even if they could get some Japanese staff who are really good at 2D animation, whether it's hand-drawn or sprites, either the process is going to be longer and harder than they're willing to put up with, or it's going to be a lot more expensive than they can afford.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how this works for the Western developers that makes games like that, but yeah, that's just kind of what they have to deal with.
I guess
so. I don't think this is just so. Like, I don't really think it's them just thinking that it would look better in 3D. It was probably just they probably didn't have much of a choice.
Yeah, that makes sense. As I say, like it's not. I still think there's potential. Like as long as they can keep improving it, as long as they don't look at this and go, "Yep, it's perfect. We'll just go with this." You know, like as long as they go back and refine it, especially if they're going to start getting feedback about it, like people being quite vocal about how they don't really like the look of it, then I'm sure they'll go back and try and improve the animation and stuff. And again, it's probably quite a way off. I guess the concern for me now, knowing that this is a straight remake and not a sequel, is how much of it, like how much of a remake is it? Is it just going to be a straight one-to-one remake, kind of like Dragon's Trap was, or are they going to expand on it? Because the original Monster World 4, there's loads of concept art of there was actually going to be 2 playable characters. There was going to be this boy character as well. From what they've shown, I presume that's not going to be the case here. They're not going to add that cut content to this. But it would be nice to see them at the very least expand the game so it's a bit longer, it's a bit less linear, because I think that was one of the main things with Monster World 4. Is personally I like that about it, but like compared to like the previous Monster World game on the Mega Drive and stuff, there wasn't quite as much backtracking going on. It's pretty much just going from one level to the next. You don't have to do a lot of backtracking in 4. So to see them maybe expand it out so it, not pad it out like artificially just to make it longer for the sake of it. But if they can, add some extra levels, add some more like little things to do, more collectibles, all that kind of stuff, I think that'd be nice if they can just make it. Because then it'll just, because if it just ends up just being a one-for-one remake where the levels are identical, the enemies are, everything's in the same place and everything's exactly the same. It worked for Dragon's Trap because obviously it worked for that because it was bloody gorgeous. They absolutely nailed the look, and they literally had that thing where you could just wipe back and forth between retro and new graphics and sound and everything. And it just worked for that game because obviously it's a short game. You can beat it in less than an hour if you know what you're doing. But I feel like with this game, I think they may need to do more than just one-to-one remake it, because I don't think that's going to be enough to justify me wanting it, if that makes sense. Like I think I'd be more inclined to play it if they expanded on the world and added a bit more to it, and it wasn't just a one-to-one remake. But I guess time will tell.
Yeah, I guess I see what you mean. Especially now that the original game is more accessible than it used to be.
Oh, definitely. It is still one of it's a very expensive game to own on the Mega Drive. If you want to own an original copy, it's very expensive. And it kind of always has been. But ever since they translated it and put it on the Virtual Console and PS3 and also the Mega Drive Mini, it's been a lot more accessible to the West than it used to be. Properly
not to mention, it's only a matter of time before it winds up in the next one of the next Genesis compilations that Sega's going to make.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I hope so, because like that game is, as far as I'm concerned, it's one of the nicest games. It's one of my favourite games on the Mega Drive ever since I played the PS3 version. I was like, this is probably one of my favourite Mega Drive games now. Just absolutely gorgeous like look to it, and as I say, it's a bit short, it's a bit linear, but then so is Dragon's Trap, and to some extent there's a bit more backtracking in Dragon's Trap, but anyway, we'll move on from that. Right, so this one's a bit weird. I'll go into this one. So I don't know if anyone remembers a game that we played on the eShop Car Booty that they constantly flog off for 89p, even though its full price is like £20 or something like that. And it has
I remember it because I bought it because of that stream.
Yeah. So there's this game called Goonya Fighter.
Oh man.
And it's basically Roblox. Visually it looks like Minecraft mixed with Roblox. It even has like the Roblox oof thing, as you pointed out. I've never played Roblox, so I don't really know it. But basically it's just like this deliberately wonky arena fighter where you just sort of frail around and fall on your ass constantly, and you just sort of frail at each other, and it's kind of, I don't know how to describe it, like it's kind of terrible, but I kind of got into it anyway. Like There's quite a bit of content. There's loads of DLC and stuff like that. But yeah, it came out on the Switch. It's constantly reduced for 89p. So they just today made a load of announcements involving it, including the fact that it's going to be coming to arcades and the PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
Next gen!
Yeah, it's like... Oh, is that when in the really early days?
This on PS5, yeah.
You know what this is like? It's like the very early days of the PS4, where some really, really high-end games are coming out, like the remake of Putty Squad.
Oh god, yeah, that was like a launch title or something like that. It was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get a PS4, this next generation console, and I'm gonna buy it with Putty Squad. Yeah, so they announced a PlayStation 5 version of this for reasons. I presume it was on the PS4 at some point, but you know, I guess you've got to put something on the PS5. But it's just a strange little announcement, and the fact that they're going to do an arcade version as well is like, yeah, I'm going to go into an arcade and play this. I presume they mean Japan only arcades, but that's not even the weirdest part of this announcement. Not even by a long stretch, because they are also going to be adding more content to the Switch version, and I guess all the other versions, including a collaboration with Virtua Fighter.
Huh.
Oh dear.
Virtua Fighter.
Yeah, Virtua Fighter's coming to the Switch, guys.
Yay.
It's amazing. You know, Virtua Fighters recently did a collab with Sega's Fist of the North Star mobile game.
Oh,
and then
yeah, so was that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then now it's collaborating with this. I'm surprised of all the other games they could do some kind of collaboration with. To start off, they go with a Virtua Fighter.
I don't know if I think my justification for why they might have done this is Sega looked at this game and was like, oh look, it's like blocky fighting people. It's got fighter at the end of its name. What if we, for lulz, put Virtua Fighter 1, Akira Yuki, and Pai and Lao in this? Like, maybe that's their reasoning. They're like, oh, it looks silly. Like, you know, Virtua Fighter 1 is almost kind of like an ironic thing for some people now, because obviously it was revolutionary at the time, but now it looks a bit silly. Like, to some people, it looks kind of dumb now. Yeah, it's super dated because obviously it's low poly. But maybe they're thinking, oh, we'll put it kind of like how in Japan they sort of meme Altered Beast a little bit, don't they? Especially the bear from Altered Beast is kind of a bit of a meme in Japan. So maybe that's their like reasoning. I wouldn't be surprised if they stick like Jeffrey and stuff in here, just and make them like deliberately silly, because it's a silly game. But yeah, last week we had the Sonic and Ninjala collaboration announcement, and now we get this. This is what Sega's doing with Virtua Fighter. Yeah, not a collaboration with like Tekken or something. You're not going to put like a freaking Virtua Fighter character in Tekken 7. Oh no, that's too smart. that makes sense. Having said that, when this DLC comes out, if it's cheap, I'll probably get it. Because I already own the game, so if it's like 89p like the game was, then why not? I'll play as Akira Yuki in this dumb game.
Yeah, I'm sure I will too. Just because I actually kind of like the game myself. There's just a really interesting charm to it that not a lot of games attempt.
You know what it feels like to me, and I think I said this on the stream and on the podcast when I talked about it before, but it feels like a simple 2000 PS2 game, like the kind of games that used to come out, like budget releases by like D3 publisher on the PS2.
Oh yeah, it is
feels
kind
like
of
one of
that.
those. It feels like something that would have come out back then, you know, for like, what was it, £15 or 20 quid when they got localized in Europe. A lot of those simple 2000 games got localized in Europe as like budget titles from like 505 games and stuff like that. And there was a lot of just like strange junk like that. You know, the games that are like really, they're kind of janky. They're, you know, very badly translated, and this one is in this game, this Goonya fighter thing in particular is kind of shameless with what it's kind of trying to fool you into thinking it is as well, because it's got that sort of Minecraft look to it. It's kind of got a bit of a Roblox look to it. There's like these green creatures that may as well be creepers from Minecraft mixed with the zombies from Plants vs Zombies, which is another thing that like cheapo, like especially Chinese companies seem to like ripping off a lot. I mean, have you ever seen that arcade game called Iceman? It's like this light gun. It's like this water gun game where you spray water at the screen, but it's basically just a complete rip-off of Plants vs Zombies. And for some reason, there's just so many Plants vs Zombies rip-offs. I don't know why. It must have been really popular in Asia or something, because there just seems to be so many knockoffs of that. But yeah, I don't know.
Never heard of that. I never heard of that arcade game, Iceman. That sounds funny.
Yeah, the arcade that is literally next to where I work has it, and I'm always hearing it and seeing it when I'm working. Like, it's always there. I think I first saw it at EAG, and I think in our EAG coverage one year, I did actually just look at this thing and it's like, why is it called Iceman? You know, the Marvel character Iceman is just called Iceman because they don't care what it's called, whatever. But I think you spray water at zombies and they turn to ice and explode, and that's kind of it. That's what it is.
Oh, you know what? I have actually seen a game like this. I've never seen it installed anywhere in America.
I don't know. There's plenty of them over here for some reason.
But yeah, I have seen a game like that.
The worst thing about this game,
Chinese arcade games that have you shooting enemies with a squirt gun, which end up using a lot of stolen assets.
Yeah. The absolute worst thing about this game that really stands out is the game runs fine when you're actually playing it, but for some reason the demo that they try to advertise the game to people walking by runs at like 5 frames per second for no reason. Like, it's just really horrendous. It's like no quality control whatsoever. Like, the game just runs like absolute arse when it's in the demo mode. I think it's like a pre-rendered video or something, but for some reason they were just like, oh, whatever, it's for kids. No one's going to notice that it runs like arse on the demo that's supposed to sell you on playing the game.
It's a cry for help.
And then, like, kids are always flocking to play that game because it has a freaking water gun on it. Who doesn't want to play a game where you shoot water at a screen? Like, if you're a kid, that's probably, like, amazing.
Yeah, I can
It's just
imagine.
a shame the actual game attached to it. It's just, like, this wonky garbage, but, you know, people play it, so whatever. They're always playing it, so... Anyway... what else can we talk about? Oh, yes. The day after we did the last podcast, there was a sudden Nintendo Direct Mini, another one of those third-party ones. That
the
partner showcase. That's it.
Yeah.
This was they literally didn't announce it. It just appeared, and I was at work when it happened, so I didn't get to watch it. And I went on my break. And I was just glancing on Twitter, and I was just like, wait, Puyo Tetris 2? Puyo Tetris 2?
Yeah, that's how I discovered it too. I just saw in one of my one of the other Discord servers I'm a part of. People were sharing a trailer for Puyo Tetris 2. I was like, where did that come from? And then, like, an hour later, I learned about the Nintendo Direct and learned that it came from there.
Yeah, exactly. I saw the Puyo Tetris 2 trailer first, and then later found out that apparently there was a Nintendo Direct. And I was like, oh, okay. Already, if I was sort of hyping that would have been hype as hell. I never expected a sequel to Puyo Tetris. I'm super excited for this. So this is coming out in, when was it? It was coming out on November the 8th.
Oh, November. I was going to say December.
Was it November or December? Oh, December 8th. Sorry, it was.
December.
Yeah. So it's coming out for pretty much everything. It's coming out for the Xbox One, the Xbox Series X, the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation 5. The Switch, and apparently there's going to be a Steam version early next year. But yeah.
Look at that, Sega bits.
Oh, yeah, I was just reading their thing to. Oh, I didn't let the trailer play through properly. But yeah, hell, Sega have been on fire lately with these announcements, haven't they? Like, I was not expecting this. I don't think anyone ever expected this because the original game, if you count the Japanese version, came out years ago. But I guess the Western localization of the first one must have done well enough that it justified them making a new one. And this game has the distinction of being the first Puyo game ever that's going to get released in the West before Japan by 2 days. They're getting it in Japan on the 10th.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And you know what's also really cool? Going back to when you said you didn't expect this coming, Sega has actually been really good about keeping leaks under wrap, haven't they?
Yeah, they really have. Like, they used to have issues with that kind of stuff, especially when it came to Sonic stuff, like Sonic 4. Like, basically the entire game got leaked before it came out. But yeah,
now
days,
people
they're very
are
good at keeping that stuff tight-lipped.
Nowadays people are thirstier than ever for some news about the next Sonic game, even if they're especially pessimistic about it after Sonic Forces. And yet we still don't know the first thing about what that game's going to be like. Not a single thing is leaked as of this episode of the Lucky Hit podcast.
Yeah, who knows? Knowing how these podcasts go, something's going to get revealed tomorrow. This seems to happen a lot. Every time we do a podcast, no matter what day it is, all the big news happens the very next day. Like in the case of this, I would say definitely this. Like, again, I know we ranted about it for what seemed like hours like a couple months back when they did that first one of those Nintendo Direct Minis. But again, everyone was going, "Oh, it's the worst thing ever." It would have been better if they announced nothing. I was like, guys, Puyo Tetris 2. How can you not be hyped for Puyo Tetris 2? I guess you have no taste. I'm sorry, you have no taste.
I noticed that people were a lot less irate the first time, but maybe it's just because the Direct wasn't even announced at first.
Yeah,
so
literally no one had any expectations because it just got plonked on us without any warning.
Yeah, nobody had time to hype themselves up for anything.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
and anyone who makes videos reacting about this, they didn't have time to make themselves a thumbnail with the date of the Direct while also showing stuff like F-Zero or Super Mario 30th anniversary, whatever.
You'd think they would learn from the first time, wouldn't you?
Or like Super Smash Brothers Ultimate.
It's called a partners showcase. It's got nothing to do with Nintendo games. But yeah, well, I'll go into some of the stuff that they have announced for it so far because there's only so much. But I'm not even really sure how you would go about making new stuff for a sequel to a game that's already got almost every conceivable combination of ideas you can do with Puyo and Tetris, including that amazing fusion mode, which I just think is ridiculous. I love it. But it is going to have some new stuff, including a skill battle mode, where apparently every individual character has different like special moves they could do, kind of like the special attacks in Puyo 4 on the Dreamcast. I think that game, every individual character had different special attacks that did different things.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that was a thing in Puyo Puyon.
Yeah, Puyo Puyon.
Yeah, Puyo Puyon. It's a play on the Japanese word for the number 4.
Yeah, kind of like what they did with Sun as well, basically. But
yeah, kinda.
But yeah, this skill battle mode thing, it seems like there's going to be like booster packs for it, because the pre-order for the game comes with like a selection of skill battle booster pack, which includes some Sonic items, including like rings and like a shield and stuff like that. So that makes me wonder if this game's going to have some form of microtransactions for like booster packs, or maybe you can unlock them in the game, but then maybe you can also purchase them.
God! I hope this isn't
where they're going. Maybe.
I really hope this isn't Street Fighter Cross Tekken all over again.
It better bloody not be. I don't think anyone would ever dare do something like that again. My God, that
game got banned from tournaments so fast, all because of that.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Basically, just spend money to make your character 10 times stronger. But yeah, I don't know what that's gonna mean, because basically the booster pack is like, hang on, I'll find the. I don't know. It's just like a bunch of like extra pre-order items, like digital items, you know, just like for the skill-based mode. And one of them's literally a pudding. But yeah, there's like
what, one of them caramel things?
Yeah. So it just says Skill Battle Booster Pack, exclusive new mode add-on content, including Sonic the Hedgehog item cards. So yeah, you got like a shield and a ring. So they're also saying that the game is going to have DLC in the future. So that makes me wonder, if they're putting like Sonic items in there, does that mean we're going to end up with like playable Sonic characters? Because I mean, they've done that in Puyo Quest on mobile, so I wouldn't put it past them.
That would be cool. As like like they could make a nod to Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine doing that.
I would love that if they could somehow, even if they could put like Dr. Eggman in there. Yeah, like obviously they're not going to put the original Mean Bean Machine Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog version of Robotnik in there, because that's never going to happen. They probably don't even have the means to make that legally happen anymore. But if they could put like Dr. Eggman in there and he just makes references to Mean Bean Machine, I'd be very, very happy indeed.
That would be cool, wouldn't it? I mean, they even put Sonic...
Make Arms playable. Was that his name? Arms, the robot with the claws? Playable.
It would be interesting, because they even put Sonic in Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD.
Yeah, they did.
Sonic wasn't even in the original version of that game.
I honestly wouldn't put it past them throwing Sonic into this, just because throwing Sonic into anything is guaranteed some extra sales of any Sega game at this point. Like, it probably helped with Monkey Ball to some extent, just throwing Sonic in there as like a little bonus.
And while they're at it, they may as well try to get Kirby into the Nintendo Switch version of the game.
Oh, that'd be so cool. Yeah,
because they
get Robotnik and Kirby in there and just have them all have some kind of DLC story mode that has Robotnik. Doesn't even have to have Sonic, just Robotnik will do. Yeah, and his robots. If they can get Scratch and Grounder as DLC in this game, I am throwing all my money at that. I'm sorry, but if they can get Scratch and Grounder, it's not going to happen. I know it's not going to happen. I'm setting myself up for disappointment, but if they can do that, I'd be a very happy man indeed. Has anyone ever seen that fan art that someone did? That was basically Mean Bean Machine Tetris or something.
I did see something like that, yeah. Where they drew the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog Robotnik in the style of the Puyo Puyo characters.
Yes, it's so good. I basically want that to become a reality. Can you imagine? There are actually mods for Puyo Tetris on the Steam version as well.
That's where that came from, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I doubt there's going to have... I doubt there's going to be any references to Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog specifically, but it would be... I think that would be great to have, like, to just have Sonic characters in there.
I'd be happy with just Robotnik, honestly. Look at this. I'll put up the...
And then, like, have...
so people can actually see who it is.
And then, like, have Kirby in the Nintendo version as a nod to Kirby's Avalanche, which I recently learned was apparently released as Kirby's Ghost Trap in Europe.
Yeah.
Oh, that is cool. I never saw this box art before, actually.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
I think this is what actually spawns like the mods that someone made where they actually put Robotnik in Puyo Tetris on Steam. So yeah, I know it's not going to happen, but if they could do something like that as DLC, I am all over it.
You're going to be a very happy chappy.
I would be ecstatic. Having Sonic in there would be fine. It would be like, yeah, that's cool. But like, if they could go the full hog and go Mean Bean Machine route, then I would be
full hog.
Full hog, because he's a hedgehog. So I did. Yeah. What else have they said about it? Not a lot else really that I can think of. Apparently there was a description of the game somewhere else. I think it was like on a pre-order or something, where it mentioned some kind of like online raid, like boss raid mode of some kind, like a raid mode where like multiple people online fight against the computer, like a strong computer opponent or something like that. So that might be quite interesting. Yeah, it's more Puyo Tetris. I'm fine with that. I love that Tetris seems to constantly be a thing lately. Like the last few years, it feels like all the most hype moments for me specifically have been like Tetris announcements. If that makes any sense, because I mean, like there was that thing earlier this year where it's like there's a new version of Tetris Effect with multiplayer and like giant Tetris pieces coming out on like Xbox and Steam or something like that. I think it was like an Xbox exclusive or something. I don't know, but yeah. So it's been like a combination of finally getting a localization of Puyo Tetris back in 2017, Tetris Effect, Tetris 99. It's just been what's with all the Tetris? I'm not complaining. It's like one of my favorite games ever. But yeah.
And then I remember how excited you were when you found out about the new Mega Drive Tetris on the Mega Drive Mini.
That too.
And how they actually brought out Alexei Pajitnov to make that.
So cool. I wish I was doing a salt or hype for that stream, even though it was all in Japanese, because I was literally, as soon as he showed up on the stream, I was literally running around the house. I was like, what the? How? It's like they're putting literally the rarest Mega Drive game ever on Mega Drive Mini, and all technically it's a new port. But
I remember being just as excited. Like I was speculating like there has to be a super rare game on this, like Musha or something, and I did not expect them to go with Tetris, a game that's worth like more than
about 3 copies of it in the whole world.
Yeah, it's worth more than like 1,000 copies of Musha all at once.
Yeah, at least. But yeah, technically it was a completely new pool, and technically that version of Tetris is kind of hard to go back to now, but yeah, still cool.
And yeah, and it was even better that it was a new port. Like I actually didn't even know that there were some major problems with the original Mega Drive Tetris. So
it was a pretty sloppy port, to be honest.
It was a what? It
was a pretty sloppy port, to be honest, because I think they threw it together pretty quickly just to get it out there, and then they realized they didn't own the license and they had to recall it. But I feel like the Tetris holding company have been really. They used to be quite strict on how Tetris console games were released. It used to be they had one company that had the rights for arcades at any one time. At one point it was Atari, then it was Akira. And then they had one company that would have the rights for consoles, which for the most part, for the longest time, was BPS, and then Nintendo licensed it from BPS to do the Game Boy version, stuff like that. But yeah, they used to be very strict about how many people could make Tetris games at the same time. But now they don't seem to care. They're just like, oh, you know, if the guy that made Rez wants to make a Tetris game, then go ahead. If Sega wants to make one, go ahead. If they want to re-release their old one as well, go ahead. And if Nintendo wants to do something as well, yeah, sure. Why not? Just all the Tetris. Give me all the Tetris. They have been doing that. But Tetris has been like Wonder Boy lately. You've just been showered with them.
I mean, they are still a bit strict. They usually when they license out a Tetris game, there's a lot of rules people have to follow when they make the game, which is part of the reason why they had to remake the Mega Drive Tetris, because the old one didn't. The old one didn't go by a lot of the rules. Like one of their rules is it always has to have a hard drop now. Which is why they added
it as an option, but yeah.
Yeah, it is an option in the Mega Drive Mini Tetris game, and it's off by default, actually. Yeah. Most people don't even know it's in there.
Shame they couldn't add the swap button as well. Because I feel like any
Tetris
game that doesn't have swap is very hard to go back to now. I'm just too used to that.
I guess that's not one of their rules that they make everybody follow. Like they don't tell people you need to have a swap function in there. Not sure why, but yeah, that would have been nice in that game too.
Also, don't make games with the word Tetris in them that are not Tetris Nintendo. Don't do that anymore. I presume that's a rule. I mean, that makes sense. I still don't understand the logic behind calling a game Tetris Attack that has nothing to do with Tetris, but there you are.
Yeah. Well, at least there's a non-Tetris version they can re-release, even if it is only. Oh snap! That really scared me.
Sorry.
Yeah, there's that. It's Puyo Tetris. Oh, the speaking of some of the other stuff that they showed at the Nintendo Direct, because they did actually show more than just Puyo Tetris 2. Another thing that made me very happy is the Taiko no Tatsujin. What was it? Adventure Pack, I think it's called. And it's basically 2 previously unlocalized 3DS games in one. So they're basically Taiko no Tatsujin role-playing games, where you actually run it.
3DS games?
Yeah, they were previously released on the 3DS, but this is the first time they've brought them over translated.
I didn't know they were 3DS games. I knew it was a port. I didn't know it was a port from the 3DS.
Yeah. So they only came out like a few years ago, like, you know, back when the 3DS was a bit more relevant. But yeah, getting them localized for the first time seems like it's got a bit of a Pokemon element to it, where there's like in the trailer they actually go, oh, there's like 250 monsters to collect, and it's like, oh, okay, we're doing this. But what's really cool about it is the combat actually involves playing Taiko no Tatsujin, like turn-based, like, and there'll be like little bombs that come up and stuff like that. I'm really excited for this as well. I think it's coming out in November or December as well. So I basically know what games I want to get for Christmas at this point.
Kind of surprising that was originally on a platform where you couldn't play with a Taiko controller.
I know you can use the touch screen, yes. So I suppose there's that. But
yeah, I guess. But you know, the whole draw of the game is using the Taiko controller, because it's like using real Taiko drums.
Oh yeah, for sure. But
they did make a Taiko controller for the 3DS.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did actually, but I haven't looked into it. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this because it's more Taiko stuff. Apparently, it has about 130 songs in it or something like that, and you can just play all those songs as normal Taiko gameplay as well if you don't want to play the role-playing stuff as a bonus. So it's basically more Taiko, so I'm happy with that. So I've just put up the trailer here. You can sort of tell it's an upscaled 3DS game when you like point it out, but yeah, I'm fine with this. It's more Taiko. You can just play every song. As you were saying, like the real draw of this game is playing it with the drum kit, but I've found the touch controls on the Switch screen to be perfectly adequate. Like I actually really enjoy playing it that way. It's mainly playing it with motion controls that just doesn't work. Like you can play it with motion controls, but it's incredibly flaky. It always misses notes or hits too many times when you swing and stuff like that. So not worth playing with motion controls, but definitely touch controls are very good. So the only thing about this though, and this is a bloody common thing with Namco nowadays, is this is not going to be physical in Europe or America. It's going to be digital only, which I'm really annoyed about. Like, just, I mean,
and they're not going
the
to
original
one controller either, I'm sure.
I know they're re-releasing. They are re-releasing the Switch Taiko drum in Japan, so there's more about. But I'm not sure what's happening out the West.
That, sure.
Yeah. You can still. I mean, we got really lucky in Europe. The fact that we actually got that last Taiko game on Switch physically, and with the drum kit as an option as well. They still sell that in August, so that's fantastic. I still can't believe we got this series as is, like you know, with all the songs intact, all the DLC intact, all the weird Japanese references to things like Koro comics are all still in there and everything. But yeah, I'm glad they're continuing to bring this series over. Apparently, the much like Puyo Tetris, the localization of this game sold incredibly well, like way beyond their expectations. So that's probably why they're continuing to localize this series, and I'm really glad they are.
Kind of reminds me of just how just a couple of years ago, most big publishers like Sega or Bandai Namco or whoever, they thought nobody liked games like this in the West.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, look, we've mentioned so many times how
either that or they refused to believe that there were people who liked these games.
they just didn't think it was worth the time, did they?
I mean, sure, something like this is never going to sell like Call of Duty numbers, but that doesn't mean people don't want it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I just think it's a bit of a shame I can't get a physical copy of this because I have the first one physically, unless of course they do an English Asian version, which they did prior with the previous one before the European release. But I would like to be able to get a cart of this just so I've got them both because it'd be nice. But yeah, that's a problem with Namco. They keep doing that. I've mentioned this in the past. I'm getting a bit fed up with Namco putting out all these games that I would definitely buy physically and then just go, nah, you can't have it. The fact that we didn't get the physical release of Katamari Damacy again after we never got the PS2 version in Europe. We got the sequel, but we never got the first Katamari in Europe. And they basically did it again, but now it's like you can still get it, but it's digital only. But still, I want to own that physical copy.
That's a shame. We got that game in a physical form here.
Exactly, yeah. And
it was exclusive.
They've basically done it again with the Switch remake, and it's annoying. Apparently, that Katamari remake is coming out for PS4 and Xbox One later in the year as well. They did announce that just this week.
Oh, I thought it was already there.
Nah, pretty sure it was Switch exclusive up until this point, so yeah. But yeah, they've done this with Mr. Driller. They did it with the Namco Museum collection that they put out with all the NES ports on it. Like, they've even gone out of their way to put out like boxed copies of the games in European retail shops with just a download code in it. It's like, if you're gonna go to that extent, just put it on a cart. Just do it. For God's sake. It's just so cheap.
I never understood the point of that. No.
Like, what's the point of owning a box to a game and then just having a download code in it? That is the most redundant thing in the world. Like, it's just a waste of plastic, basically. But
I don't know. There's some people who like to make their own physical boxes for digital exclusive games. But even then, I still think that's a little weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really get the point in that because, like,
people just really want something to display on their shelf for the sake of displaying it on their shelves, I guess.
Yeah, I don't feel like I've ever wanted to do that simply because I always run out of shelf space, and I would rather save the shelf space for actual games that I physically own.
Exactly, that's my thing too.
I've even contemplated it a couple times. There was a couple like Dreamcast games that I was thinking, I could get like a proper boxed copy of Propeller Arena just so I could say I've got a physical copy of that on the shelf. It'd be nice to have. But then I thought, you know what, I can't be bothered. I'll just have the disc lying around. It's fine. I
used to think the same thing about Star Fox 2, where people used to make these really beautiful cartridges and boxes.
Oh, I totally get repros. If you have a physical copy of the game, that makes sense. Like, repros make perfect sense. If you can't afford the official game, then a repro's nice.
I know.
I'm talking more about like the digital games, stuff like, I'm gonna make a box for Scott Pilgrim. Going back to Scott Pilgrim, I'm gonna just put that on my shelf, and then I'm gonna take it off the shelf and open the case, and just air's gonna come out of it, and maybe a moth. And just like, oh yeah, that's a good point.
I know, but like my point I was trying to make was this was before Nintendo finally released Star Fox 2 on their own. Back then we just had incomplete versions of the game, and it just seemed weird to me that even though it was, even as an incomplete game, it was still pretty good. People were really going out of their way to make such a beautiful presentation for a totally incomplete game. And even now that the full version has finally been released, nobody's putting in that kind of effort anymore to reproing Star Fox 2, even though there are people who do make repros of the finished version of the game.
Oh yeah.
And even Nintendo themselves have provided them box art to use.
Yeah, pretty much. They've just made that new they've made new box art for it. So
up until then, I just thought that was kind of weird for a game that was incomplete, even as good as it was.
I mean,
but you know, now
people have done the same for even less complete games. You know.
Yeah, true.
What else could we talk about? Well, we pretty much have a confirmation now that there's definitely not going to be. I mean, we pretty much knew this anyway, but there's going to be no backwards compatibility for the PS1, 2, or 3 in the PS5. It's basically been confirmed because Ubisoft had a help page up about I think it was just like a question, like questions and answers about like their games, their PS4 games transferring over to PS5. And they were like, oh yeah, your PS4 games will work on the PS5, but none of your PS1, 2, or 3 games will. It was like, yeah, well, there you go. That's confirmed.
Yeah, it's like it's such a shame, but like my opinion still stands where like I can deal with no backwards compatibility because those discs aren't going to last forever, and even if they could, backward compatibility will only really benefit people who already have a big collection of legacy PlayStation
games. I mean,
games.
the thing
like
with
myself,
that,
example,
going by the Xbox stuff, the thing with their backwards compatibility that makes it beneficial to not just people that own the original discs, but people that never played them and want to play them, is every time they add a game to the backwards compatibility, they put it up for sale on the Xbox store. That's the difference, is they actually sell the games as well. For the most part, I think there's a few backwards compatible games on the Xbox One that you can't buy. Like, you can only put them in if you have the physical disc, because they just don't have the rights to them. I think they made them backwards compatible, put them up for sale, but then they lost the rights to them, so they had to pull that online sale version of it down. Because basically, when you put like an Xbox 360 game into the Xbox One, you're not playing the game off the disc. You're downloading a digital version that they've put on the servers.
Yeah. Which brings me to my main point. If they're not going to have backwards compatibility, the least they could do is at least try to sell their own games from their previous consoles.
Exactly.
And I know
it feels like Sony have just given up in that respect. I mean, they did start doing some PS2 stuff on the PlayStation 4, but even that they just kind of half-assed. They just did like a handful of games and gave up very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I give Nintendo a lot of flack for being slow to release their old console games on the Switch, but at least they're trying. At least they care enough to actually put games on the Switch and give you a nice and easy way to access them. Sony, on the other hand, like they introduced those PlayStation 2 games on the PS4, which I don't even know at this point if those are going to be backward compatible, even though they are PS4.
That's a really good question. Yeah, that's a good point. There's a small chance they might be. It would be very kind of evil of them to not let them be backwards compatibility, because they're basically just emulations and they have trophies and stuff. So they are technically PS4 games, even though they're direct emulation of the PS2 games. But yeah,
and it's really sad because they actually did a good job presenting those PS2 games on the PS4. It's just that they gave up on releasing games way too quickly.
It makes me wonder if they don't sell enough. Like maybe everyone's clamoring for backwards compatibility, but when they do give people the option to buy the games, they don't buy them. I guess that's maybe their justification.
Maybe. I mean, maybe that was Nintendo's reasoning for making the NES and the SNES games part of Nintendo Switch Online, because people are going to pay for that anyway to play their games online. So you may as well just also give them the old games so they have an excuse to try them out, even if they've never played them before or were never curious about them.
Yeah.
So maybe that would have something to do with it. But like at the same time, Sony also kind of does that because they have some of those PlayStation 2 games on PlayStation Now, and some of them have been free for PlayStation Plus subscribers in the past. Some of them. But either way, it still goes back to how they stopped releasing games way too soon. I was going to say SNK actually supported PS2 games on PlayStation 4 longer than Sony did.
Yeah. I mean, judging by the PlayStation Vita, I'm not like third parties tend to support PlayStation consoles longer than Sony themselves a lot of the time. Just in general.
I understand that Sony can't release PlayStation 3 games in the same way they would PS1 or PS2 games, which is nice when they occasionally do an HD remaster of a game from that generation.
They do have PS3 games on PlayStation Now, though, don't they? As like you can stream them.
Yeah, they do. I almost forgot about that.
I guess that might be their future solution. There's no like native backwards compatibility, but if they are planning to expand on PlayStation Now in the future, then maybe that would be the way to play them. But again, that's not really optimal for some people, I guess. I don't know. Like, it would be nice to be able to just throw your disc, like PS3 discs in, and just be able to play them. But obviously, the architecture of the PS3 in particular is so complicated that, you know, it'd be like trying to do, you know, Saturn backwards compatibility on the Dreamcast or something. It would require putting basically some of the guts of the Saturn in the Dreamcast. And like in the case of the PS3, like the early PS3s actually had the emotion engine from the PS2 in it just to make it compatible. But
yeah, and Sony did bring up this point when they in a Q&A thing about the PlayStation 5 in the past, where they talked about how they achieved backward compatibility on the PlayStation 3 and why that's not so viable today anymore. But you know, even with I can't imagine that would be too big of a problem with games from before that generation, even if they have to go the emulation route, which I'm sure they would have done anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like at the very least, PS1 emulation is so easy now. They did it so well on the PS3 and the PSP and the Vita. You know, they put especially in Japan, they put hundreds of PS1 games out, and you know, they emulated on the PS3, the PSP. The fact that you could buy one and then it would work on the PSP and the PS3, and then eventually the Vita as well, was amazing. It was fantastic.
And which brings me to my other point, because if Sony's not going to release those games again, the only other way to get them is to either download them online, which Sony does not benefit from in any way possible, or you have to track down original copies of the game, which, one, those games aren't going to last forever, like I said, and two, a lot of those games today are prohibitively expensive.
Exactly.
So the only people who already can do that are people who already by this point have a PS1 collection. Like me, for example. I still have a lot of PS1 games.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of stuff I grew up with and a lot of stuff I bought myself years later. So for me, access to games like those is no problem. Unless I decide to download it, which is even easier, but you know.
Yeah. Well, you know, we pretty much knew that was coming. Everything was pointing towards that being the case. It's just, as usual, Ubisoft, the leaky boat, is the one that actually breaks the news by accident rather than Sony themselves, because they're still being incredibly quiet about the PS5 in a lot of ways. Like, hurry up with the goddamn price.
Or in this case, they reconfirm news for people who were either in denial or didn't hear about it the first time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But you know what? You might as well be thankful for companies who actually do go out of their way to re-release older games of theirs, even if they don't re-release as many as you'd like. Like, even Konami does a whole bunch of retro game re-releases.
Yeah, exactly. Those Castlevania and Contra collections they did were absolutely bloody brilliant, and they were so cheap as well. Just like, here's like basically almost every game, and we'll give you the Japanese versions as well, and we'll put all this nice little museum stuff in there, and we will charge next to nothing for it as well. Basically, when they were on sale, they were like 50p a game. It's like, okay, I'll have those. That's a good way of just like putting out your back catalogue in a nice cheap package, you know?
And not to mention the TurboGrafx 16 and PC Engine Mini. I was not expecting them to actually do a mini console, let alone re-release anything from that console at all.
Right, so I guess I could go into another, well, it's kind of like a rumor, basically. But speaking of like re-releasing old games and all that kind of stuff, we're getting more rumors that are pointing towards the Super Mario 3D All Stars collection of some form, like some kind of like collection of the 3D Mario games. So this rumor has been pushing around for pretty much most of the year. Like they're saying, you know, the 35th anniversary of Mario's this year. They need to do something for it. They can't just throw out Super Mario All Stars on a disc again like they did in the Wii era. I still think that was like the most hilariously wet fart way to celebrate an anniversary. They literally just put a SNES ROM on a Wii disc and called it a day. It was like, oh, they didn't even change like the controller screen so it shows a like a Wii classic controller or anything. They just left it as is. They just dumped a ROM on a disc, basically.
Yeah, but, that's the kind of thing you would expect from like Konami, for example.
Yeah, but going back to this, basically this rumor about some form of Mario collection that probably has most of the 3D games on it. So Super Mario 64, Sunshine, possibly the 2 Galaxy games, and I don't know what else they would include, but probably just those 4 games mainly.
I don't know.
So
maybe stuff from Super Mario 64 DS.
Yeah, maybe they could. It depends how much, what extent these ports are going to be, if this thing exists. But basically, someone that knows Game Explain, who's apparently quite reputable, he's predicted quite a lot of Nintendo Direct stuff in the past correctly. Basically saying that the reason we haven't heard much from Nintendo themselves lately is because of COVID-19. It's basically put a spanner in the works, made them have to delay a load of things. But originally we were supposed to get an announcement for this 3D collection back in June, and it was going to come out in September. And then they were saying that there's going to be a port of Super Mario 3D World as well, but it would be like a separate release from this collection, and that would be around October. But now they're saying that whole idea got scrapped, but now they haven't scrapped the whole idea, but they basically had to delay when they announce it and when they release it. But now it's sounding like this collection might get announced very soon, actually, and then might be releasing in October. So they'll basically be banking on this being their like Christmas game essentially, and then they're delaying the 3D World Deluxe port, or whatever you want to call it, till sometime early next year. But yeah, there's a chance, again, this is all just rumours, so it might be a load of rubbish, that this might literally get announced this week. Like, it might even get announced tomorrow. Like, everything's pointing towards that.
Yeah, that's what I was hinting at. Just like, podcast, next day, something big happens, so...
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, brace ourselves.
Something might happen tomorrow. It might not be this, but if it is this, that'd be very nice. Yeah, I'm just curious if this is definitely going to be a thing, like this Mario 3D collection, how are they going to go about it? How are they going to port these games? Are they just going to be direct ROM dumps? Are they going to be... Yeah, like, for example, with Mario Sunshine, that game used the analog LNR triggers to quite a bit of an extent. How's that going to translate to the Switch? They're going to have to, because the Switch Joy-Cons and the Pro Controller don't have analog shoulder pads. So how are they going to translate that game in particular over? They're going to have to make some tweaks. So
probably. I mean, I've heard of a racing game on the Switch that I forget which one, but it actually does make use of the analog shoulder buttons on a GameCube controller if you have one with the adapter.
I think that was Grid Autosport, I think.
Maybe something like that.
One of the Codemasters games, I think.
But I doubt that Nintendo would be banking on everyone having those. I mean, they don't even print the Smash Brothers GameCube controllers or the GameCube controller adapters anymore.
Unless they decided to bundle one of those adapters and a controller with this collection just for that.
They put out a red one.
You never know.
Maybe they could. They could do it again. They started printing them again when Smash Brothers Ultimate came out. They can do it for this.
I mean, they might. It depends how they do these ports, to be honest. It really depends. Like for example, Mario 64, is it going to be... Because, there was that essentially a source port that was made from, like machine reversing or whatever you call it, the original game.
Oh,
Plus,
reverse engineering.
That's the one, reverse engineering.
Yep, that's what they did for the
Reverse
Wonder Boy
machine.
Dragon's Track remake.
Yeah, exactly.
Dragon's Trap. Sorry.
Yeah, it makes me wonder what we're going to be seeing. Like, is Mario 64 going to be like a HD 16:9 brand new version of the game, maybe with slightly enhanced textures, or are we just going to get... Either way, I don't think people are going to complain whether they're just straight ports or not, but I'm just curious how they're going to go about this. I'd love to see Mario Galaxy, actually in 1080p, because I think the only thing that was holding the Mario Galaxy games back was the Wii's 480 resolution. Like, the graphics in that game are so nice. Where you see what that game looks like when it's emulated in Dolphin, like at higher resolutions, it looks stunning. It still looks good now. Like, that game has aged very well. The only thing that's holding it back is literally its resolution. So if they can just upscale it to 1080p, like natively port it over to the Switch, then that'd be really nice.
That would be excellent. It's one of the. It's pretty much the only reason why I'm still a bit invested in this rumor, because for the most part, I really don't know whether I want to believe that it's real or not. Mostly because I don't want to be let down if I put too much stock in it and it doesn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't really want to be going into this expecting it, because it might not happen, it might not be a real thing. But if it is a real thing, I just really hope that they don't just dump the ROMs on there, because, again, like with Mario Galaxy as well, how would they go about the controls for that? Would they assign, like, the waggle of the original game to the waggle of the Joy-Cons, or will they give you the option to just use a button? How are they going to go about the star bit pointer controls? There's a lot of interesting, like, little... Because pretty much every 3D Mario game has had, for the most part, has had a gimmick in it that is made to sell that console's gimmick, like motion controls, or in the case of the GameCube, it would be the analog triggers and stuff like that. But yeah,
even Mario Odyssey did something like that. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, there's loads of stuff in Mario Odyssey, like the HD Rumble and some of the motion control stuff. I still think it's a bit bad that Odyssey basically locks behind certain higher end moves behind motion controls, because that's not really good for like disabled gamers or anything like that. It's kind of
and plus
that should be an option to have buttons.
And plus, I actually keep forgetting how many moves are in the game, because a lot of them are behind motion controls, and I don't even remember what motions activate them.
Yeah, exactly. And there's certain things where it's like, I think there's a couple moons in Odyssey that literally require you to use the motion controls to just jump a little bit higher or do something a little bit faster and stuff like that. And we're kind of going off tangent there, but I feel like one that they should really patch Odyssey to just have button options, because I feel like that's just kind of bad from like an accessibility option. But if this like collection is a thing, then yeah, I think there needs to be some way to either replace the motion controls and the pointer stuff with like traditional controls, I suppose. Just have it as an option. One point of reference would probably be the Mario Galaxy port that came out for the Nvidia Shield in China, because that's basically upscaled to that is actually in HD. Plus, I think they replaced the motion controls and the pointer controls, so you can just use like the right analog stick for the pointer controls, and you can just use a button to do like the spin attack thing. So maybe
Come to think of
that's a
I don't even remember how you controlled the camera in the original version of Super Mario Galaxy 1 or 2.
You don't. There's no camera control in Galaxy whatsoever. It's all like auto.
Oh wow, that's just so weird thinking about it.
I mean,
especially for the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a wildly different game to 64, so
Yeah, well, that was when 3D games were starting to have a bigger emphasis on allowing you to control the camera better, because they were just figuring out the easiest way to make that happen.
Yeah, of course.
Which is one of the reasons why most controllers have 2 analog sticks.
Well, of course, yeah. It still always baffled me that the Dreamcast controller didn't have a second one.
Yeah, well, that was before they cracked that code, in a sense.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, so as I say, that's just a rumor. So take that with a pinch of salt and all that. Yeah.
Oh, a lot of Nintendo fans are already taking it as a fact.
Yeah, I mean, this rumor's been around for ages. There's been lots of different insiders saying they reckon it happens. You know, there's lots of clout behind it, but a lot more clout than there is on like the Metroid Prime Trilogy HD rumor that keeps flying around as well. Still not sure if that's a thing or not, but then no one is, so yeah.
It just kind of reminds me of how we get constant rumors about the next huge Nintendo Direct. And it's like every time I just think, if you make this same rumor every like 2 weeks or so, then eventually it's going to be true.
Maybe.
But
a
Nintendo. But we're always guaranteed that there's going to be some kind of Nintendo Direct at some point in the future.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because Nintendo never said they're going to stop doing Directs. There's going to be another one at some point. It's a matter of when and not if. Yeah, unlike these Mario remasters, we still don't know if these are real, but time will tell.
Yeah, exactly. And
honestly, I just hope they have something nice planned for Mario's anniversary.
Would be cool. Yeah, I mean, it's 35 years. That's a pretty big, thing.
Yeah, one of the most influential video games in all video game history.
I must admit, I'll be shocked if Nintendo doesn't do much at all for this anniversary, because they do so much for Mario most of the time outside of that one re-release. But yeah.
But even if they don't have a new game planned or like a remaster of an old game or any kind of game at all, that would still be better than what they did with the Super Mario All-Stars thing that you were talking about before.
Yeah, going back to like nothing would have been better. I feel like that's the case with that. That's just such a lazy like cash grab in a way. Like it was...
even if they were to put that ROM on the Super Nintendo app, which would still be nice, if that's the only thing they do, then that's just going to remind people of that All-Stars release on the Wii, and it's just people are still going to be upset about it. They're going to have fun playing the game, but they're still going to be upset that Nintendo held back again in the same way they did before.
Yeah, well, I guess time will tell, and judging by if these rumors are true, there won't be much time to tell, because it will be very soon. It might be this week, might be next week, I don't know. But I guess by the time we do the next podcast, this will probably age like milk, as always. Judging by last week, we were like, I can't wait for this Wonder Boy sequel. It's definitely a sequel. They said it's a sequel, and then it's not. But yeah.
I hope it's like that time when I said Alex Kidd wouldn't be coming back, and then the very next week they revealed the Alex Kidd remake.
Yeah, exactly.
I would like for that to happen again, because I take no pleasure in saying stuff like this is not going to happen, or being a pessimistic asshole.
Yeah, Spelunky on the Switch is never going to happen. Yeah, it's definitely not going to happen. It's confirmed. But yeah,
Sonic Adventure remake is never going to happen. No way, I would say.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we'll wrap up there. I think there was some other little bits, but I think we'll leave that for now. Yeah, I guess that will do for today. That was we actually had quite a bit to talk about there. Yeah. So that has been the 86th Lucky Hit podcast. I can't believe we're at that big number now. I keep saying it, but like that number's getting nice and big. Like I see these other podcasts that have been going for like a decade, and they're on like episode 700 or something, and you're like, how? But now that we've been doing this consistently weekly, for the most part, like for most of the year now, I mean, I just want to continue to keep that train going, even if we don't put anything else out. Even if I don't have time to do any other streams, I'm still determined to make sure we at least have a podcast every week because it's nice to have.
Keeps us going.
Yeah. So I have been the Gagaman.
I have been CherryT.
I've been Hunk Thunder.
And I'm Macho Elk. Ooh, yeah. Oh, my voice cracked there. Let me try again. Ooh, yeah. I can't do it anymore. Sorry.
It's fine. You don't have to. Alright, so yeah, we will see you in probably next Monday, actually. That's most likely when we'll do this next. So maybe by then we'll have some good big news coming up, like the Mario thing, maybe. Or maybe we'll have nothing. We'll see.
Who knows?
Time will tell. Anyway, we will see you next Monday, and I will see you tomorrow, hopefully, on To Hell With It. Yeah, and see if I can get to hell again. Last week didn't go too well. I pretty much got nowhere, but that's how that game goes. I'll try again tomorrow. And as I say, I'm gonna maybe try and tinker with Restream and see if I can get that all running. That'd be nice. Yeah, I talked about that stuff at the start of the podcast. I might as well not repeat myself.
Hell freezes over.
Yeah. Right, so we shall be off. I will see you later. We will see you later. Thanks for joining, everyone in the chat. Pickleman and Buster and all that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Your
popping
names.
in.
I don't know if I ever said that before, but yeah.
Yeah. We have Busters and we have Pickles. Right, I'm
Me
gonna have to end this
Pickles.
thing, so I'm just gonna end this thing. Bye.
Oh, boy.
Have a good week, everyone. Stay safe out there.
Yep.
Or in there, preferably.
Yeah, if you've got the option to do that. Bye.